Hey everybody, it's Live and Upfront Media. I'm your host, Melody, and we have your other host, Classic Ruby. Hi, Ruby.
Hey girl, what's up? How you doing today?
I'm gonna be honest, I'm a little stressed out from the news. I
Yeah.
was fine earlier, and then when I saw this, I was like, oh, hell no, another one. How
Mm.
about you?
Yeah, I kind of feel the same. Like I was having an okay day. My week got started off right because it was the holiday here for us
Hmm.
this weekend, right?
Well,
So,
happy holidays.
thanks, kind of ruined it now, right? I mean,
Right.
this is, and I guess because right away my mind doesn't just focus on the tragedy of situation. It also focuses on where I know social media and all these places are going to take it. And all of the articles are talking about how this is like the worst elementary school shooting since Sandy Hook.
Hmm.
And when I think about the fact that there are literally kids who were part of that shooting, who were affected that day, whose parents have bought into, all these nonsense conspiracy theories saying it's all false flagging campaign and deep fakes and it's not true.
Hmm.
And I just think about that. I just think about how can you watch this devastation and hear the stories from these children, our children of all people, and then just outright deny that it's even happening.
Yeah,
As,
that's
especially when it's being funded by people like the NRA because they don't want gun control regulations. So,
Yeah, it's almost like they're using this just for that purpose, just to promote the guns. And
mhm.
it's not fair. It's not fair to those children. 18, Ruby, 18 babies gone and two adults. Can you,
Right.
like,
You know what they say, guns don't kill people, people kill people, and I agree with that, right? I mean,
right,
technically a gun does not walk up to someone and shoot them in the face. I get it. But here's the thing. It makes it very difficult. It makes it way more difficult when you don't have this thing that shoots at 100 miles an hour. I don't know, probably faster than that. I don't really know. But,
Mhm.
and it's just, you just aim, point, click, shoot. Like it's a video game almost. You don't have to be up close and personal for the devastation. There's no personal risk to you. So you don't really have to invest. So that allows unstable or overly emotional, underdeveloped, God knows, fetal alcohol syndrome, stuff like that, all kinds of different types of disordered people,
Yeah.
right? To just lash out mindlessly with no effort and no risk and injure dozens
Mhm.
before anyone can even react. So I
Mhm.
mean,
He
I
looked
listen.
crazy. I mean, and I noticed the pattern with these shooters. They're all very young. Like even last week's shooter with the supermarket in New York, he was young as well. They're 18-year-olds, disturbed. You could see it in their faces when they put up the pictures showing what they look like. These are terribly mentally disturbed young men.
Mm-hmm.
Probably had a horrible life, probably was picked on and bullied, and they taking it out on innocent people. And it's really sad. And where are they getting these guns from? These young men, where are they getting these guns from?
Hmm. You know what really annoys me, I think, the most about this is the fact that he's a kid in school, right? But he's hit 18 now, so I guess he's probably in the 12th grade at Uvalde High School in Texas. And so the small children at the elementary school aren't the ones who maybe are making his life hell, bullying him, whatever, blah, 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 blah. But rather than, not that I'm saying he should have done any of this, but he's not confronting his peers. He's not taking it out on his peers. He's just going to where what children just barely start learning, growing, and developing, and just so he can be what the almighty bully and just take out as many as possible because there's a threat that maybe if you pick someone his own size, he wouldn't be able to succeed. Like it's just disgusting. The more that I like the way my mind thinks, it doesn't think just like, oh, this is just a tragedy. I start thinking about stuff like that. Like
Exactly.
he goes to a high school. Why didn't he go to that high school then? Right? Oh no, he went and said, oh no, look, all the innocent children who couldn't possibly fight back, who couldn't possibly react with enough time to run away and hide. I'm going to attack the kids. I,
Right.
what
Innocent
kind of sick,
babies.
like, oh my God, it's
And it's
disgusting.
like just because you're suicidal and you knew you were gonna die, because he obviously went there with the mindset, hey, I'm gonna take all these people out before I die myself. So instead of taking yourself, you take all of these innocent people with you and your own grandmother.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this is very, very disturbing. Like, I'm sure people saw that he needed help for a long time because you don't just up and do this out of the blue. He had to be mentally disturbed.
Mm-hmm.
They should have got him some help. I blame them. They should have got that man some help before he went out there and killed all these innocent people. They should have his family or whoever, because that man was just disgusting,
Mm-hmm.
despicable. There's no words for this.
Complex, easy. Thank you very much for the super chat
Thank you
tonight for
so
this really
much.
important topic. I mean, hopefully, you guys, please like, share, subscribe, share this because we really want to have a real discussion about something that really matters. This really matters. I mean, the amount of mass shootings going on in the U.S. is terrifying. Let's be real. Like
Yes,
right, like Melody said, the amount that are basically being committed by children who barely. I mean, this one barely aged into adulthood. Um,
very legal.
right? Your schools are not safe. Your schools, and it's not because you send your kid to the good school, the private school, the oh no, that doesn't keep your kid safe. Didn't
Right.
keep the kids safe at you at this elementary school, did it?
Exactly. And I just can't imagine. I have a 9-year-old nephew who goes to school every day. I can't imagine dropping this baby off and never seeing him again. Like,
Mm-hmm.
this is so disturbing on so many levels. And my
It,
nephew's in those grades, the
mm-hmm.
grades that he shot up. And my heart
Mm,
goes out to all the
yep.
parents out there. My condolences to all of you. I'm so sorry
Yes.
this happened.
Yes, for real. Complex Easy says that he blames the Call of Duty games. I don't.
No,
And the
no.
reason why I don't is because of the first school shooting I became cognizant of, right? So I'm not saying that there wasn't one before this with the trench coat mafia kids. Um, but I'm just saying that I was in high school at the time when that happened, and it
Mhm,
was horrifyingly terrifying for us, even though we were like in a different country and whatever. I started being very nice to every person I saw in a trench coat. I'm going to be real with you.
mhm.
um, right, I was already really nice anyway. I was already defender of the innocent and the weak and the losers. Like I was already that person, but I became extra super nice because I was so scared of goth people and people in trench coats, because I was like, I don't know, do they have some type of secret ICQ meeting that they have and they're coordinating, or
Yes,
I didn't know. But that was
it,
before Call of Duty
way
uh
before.
became what it is, right? And even like the first person shooter games were like Duck Hunt, right? Like let's be real. I mean, you had 007, right? The Golden Eye and whatever. You had the 007 stuff. But it was Call of Duty was not there, or if it was not like what it is now. And I don't think that that really had anything to do with it, especially because there were school shootings prior. That was just the one
Right.
that I remember.
And listen, you can't blame this on on the people playing video games. Video games been out since we were kids. Did you ever see us doing anything crazy like that? No. So you can't blame it on. I hate when people say it was the video games, it was the rap music, it was this, it was that. No, it's because you're crazy. It has nothing to do with the video games or anything else. That's my
Mhm.
opinion. I mean, you have to have a little bit of self control over yourself.
Here's what no one wants to hear in America. Not one American really wants to hear this, that the reason why school shootings happen is because of your gun laws. See, the reason why school shootings don't happen here in Canada to even 1% of the frequency of the as they do in America is because it's not legal for anybody to have a gun, right? Like it's
Oh,
not. You can't just, oh, I'm gonna get my permit or da 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 da. Now, do people's argument to this, right? Because I've spoken to especially like the NRA nuts. I've had these conversations with people, and their argument is, well, the people who want to live, you know, the criminals, basically gangster stuff, they want to have guns. That's absolutely true. That's true here. But guess what? They mostly shoot each other. I'm going to be real with y'all. What they don't tend to do is say, oh, let me find someone who doesn't have a gun so I can shoot them. That's not really what happens. And so, because the frequency of legal guns is so minimal, the frequency of illegal guns actually is also incredibly minimal. And the frequency of children and crazy people accessing a legal gun that they shouldn't be able to access and then shooting themselves or others on purpose or accidentally, also very limited, right? So
mm.
that's what it comes down to. When you have free access, when everything in your constitution and otherwise tells you that you should be able to solve all your problems with the gun, well, what do you think it's going to encourage? People
And,
solving problems with guns. Like,
and Ruby, you absolutely have a point. I mean, it's so easy to get a gun. In some states, you can go to the Walmart and purchase a gun without any proof. That's what I'm hearing. Like in the South,
mm-hmm,
here up north, it's a little harder to get a gun. But I'm telling you, in the South, a kid can get a gun. And that's what
mm-hmm.
happened in Texas. That's southern, kind of Midwest southern, and look what happened. And more things like that happen out there, to be honest, than here. But let me ask you a question, Ruby. Since you guys can't legally get a gun there, do you have a lot of stabbings?
Not a lot, no. I mean, because if you look at generally, right, you look at the rate of murders in Toronto or even all of Canada, and it often pales in comparison. For the entire year, for the entire country, when you look at our murder rate, it normally doesn't even compare to the murder rate of like one city that is not even a tenth of our size of I mean of our total demographics and population, right? So what you see actually is, because you have to really mean it. I'm going to be real. You have to mean it. If you're going to stab someone, you have to mean it. A, it's not easy. B, you have to be up close and personal. There's a lot of personal risk to you at that moment. You have to be
Mhm.
strong, right? You have to, like, there's a lot of different factors. You can't just point click from 50 miles away and, oh, well, it'll hit someone, right? Like,
Right.
you have to be invested. Now, my uncle's first cousin literally got stabbed around the corner from my house. Real talk.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I hated that kid. I didn't know he was my uncle's first cousin, but what I did know is he was a fake poser. He was a wannabe gangster. Okay, we have a lot of those since when we got BET and a bunch of stuff like that, and then we had the Jane and Finch invasion. I'll explain that at some other time. All of a sudden, we got a lot of fake gangsters, fake Crips, fake Bloods. In fact, when I was in high school, I used to walk around and take people's flags or bandanas and burn them in front of them just to prove that they're not gangsters. And I was proving it to them. You're not a gangster because I am just a girl and you are just a fraud, right? But anyway, this guy was like that. He liked to kick over chairs and pretend he was super cool. And he had a bunch of my friends following him, believing his bull. I'm like, dude, he's not a gangster. He's lying. And of course,
Mm.
he was a fake gangster to the wrong one. Wants to play fake gangster games, and he won fake gangster prizes, right? Play stupid
Mm,
games,
mm,
win
mm.
stupid prizes. That's why he got stabbed. Um, so it wasn't like a innocent victim. No.
Yeah.
He went looking for it. Yeah.
So it was his fault. Yeah. That happened with someone I know, that I grew up with. They moved down south and they wasn't even, I heard they weren't even a gang member, but they started throwing up gang signs and got killed.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yep.
that's his fault. Stop trying to be gangster. Stop trying to be something you are not. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I mean? Too many people are doing that. But
Exactly.
Complex came through with another super chat. Thank you, Complex
Thank
Easy.
you.
We appreciate it. He says, getting rid of guns won't stop people from doing this. LOL. Check out the mass school knife stabbings in China. We have to really check that out because I've never heard of it. Have you, Ruby?
I have not heard about like specifically what he's talking about, I will say, but I will also say this, right? That I have friends who live in Asia.
Hmm.
Um, and so based on what they have directly said and told me, I'm going to say that I'm sure these things happen and they exist. They do. I mean, man, people have swords and stuff, right? But
Hmm.
again, we're talking about numbers or percentage, frequency. Um, Literally, if you wanted to just be totally accurate, right? To cover the amount of mass shootings that there are in America, you would have to do a story like at minimum 3 times a day, minimum, and it would be a different story every time. Because not even all the mass shootings make it to local news, let alone national news, let alone international news, right? So you have to
Hmm.
realize there's a lot more mass shootings. There's way more school shootings even than most people are aware of. And so they're like, oh, well, there was like 1 or 2 last year. No, there wasn't. There was like hundreds last year. You just heard about 1 or 2.
Right.
That's what happens.
They don't report everything,
Mm-mm.
but you will have to literally go searching for it if you want to see it. And that's the crazy part.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm surprised that they made that shooting last week a big deal because usually you know how that goes, Ruby. When it's a certain type of person, it doesn't really go viral like that.
Well, they had no choice because he live streamed it and
Oh
he
yeah.
released his like 200-page manifesto. So at that point, there's literally nothing you could do, and it was like noted in advance. There were reports in advance. The police didn't do anything to stop it, but he followed through. Of course, he
Hmm.
live streamed it because he was cammed up as well as ammoed up. He was cammed up, and so there was no way that they could try to ignore it or brush it under the rug or whatever because Buddy wanted to be famous. And so he made sure that just in case they wanted to sweep it under the rug, he was not going to be the one swept under the rug today. Was not. Mm-mm.
Right, exactly. Okay, so we have the footage for you guys. We will be playing it and then we'll be dropping the link to get your thoughts.
Yeah. So this is video one. It's just a brief summary. Then we have an update after this. So let's take a listen.
14 students and a teacher are dead in a shooting in Uvalde, Texas. Uvalde is a small town of about 16,000 people. It's about an hour and a half west of San Antonio. Let's get right to William Joy. He's in our newsroom tonight. William, there is so much information to sort through. Bring us up with the very latest on this horrific shooting.
As Cynthia, Chris, we're continuing to learn more information. Just in the last hour, we learned that the shooter is 18-year-old Salvador Ramos, according to Governor Greg Abbott. Abbott said that Ramos was a student at Uvalde High School and shot his grandmother just before the attack on an elementary school. Now, tragically, 14 students are dead, along with one teacher, according to Abbott. And that shooter was killed by law enforcement. 2 other officers were also hurt, but expected to be okay. The district first reported this shooting just a little bit after noon today, saying that it happened at Robb Elementary School, which is for 2nd to 4th
Fair
grade.
use, fair use.
They were supposed to be done for the summer on Thursday. Parents arriving at the school are telling ABC News they don't have much information right now, and at least a few are anxiously trying to find their kids.
How long have you been looking for her today?
Since it happened.
What are you worried about right now?
She may not be alive.
Have you heard anything?
Nothing. Don't know where, other than she's not in San Antonio.
When parents drop their kids off at school, they have every expectation to know that they're going to be able
They
to
should.
up when that school day
Right.
ends. And there are families who are in mourning right now, and the state of Texas is in mourning with them.
Police say that the shooter acted alone. Just moments ago, officials also confirmed that President Joe Biden will be speaking about the shooting when he arrives back at the White House. Live in the newsroom, I'm William Joy.
Oh my God, Ruby, that was heartbreaking. That father, seeing him say he don't know where his child is.
Yeah.
I mean, that was heartbreaking.
It really is. See, that's the thing. It's heartbreaking and people don't process it really right. Like most of us just sit from the outside looking in. Some of us have never really lost anybody to even be able to try to make that connection. Some of us don't have kids to make that connection, to put both of those things together. And the fear of just not knowing, not, you know what I mean? Like it's honestly, in a way, it's almost worse to just not know at this point, because you know what it could be, you know, and I'm sure the horror running through their minds constantly. Oh, I can't even imagine.
I can't. I'm
Right,
just speechless.
I know, right? Complex Easy, thank you very much again, sir.
Thank you so much for the super chat.
Right. He says, before the invention of the gun, people died way more. Crime was rampant. Guns don't kill people. People kill people.
That's true.
Well, here's the problem with that statement, though. I want you to think about it just for a second, right? Is before the invention of the gun, right, there was a lot of other things lacking in society, including the structure as is, and including the laws as is, right? So as we advance as a society, as we advance in our scientific understanding of things, in our social understanding of things, and whatever, we change the laws accordingly, we change rules accordingly, and that's going to obviously have a positive or negative net effect on things like crime, violence, whatever. But the fact of the matter is, if you, for example, are living in a culture, in a society that says if someone hurts your feelings / disrespects you, right, then you slap them with some white gloves, you challenge them to a duel, and one person's going to die and one person's not. Well, you know, which is a practice that, you know, started before the guns. Then it is what it is. You're going to have a lot more deaths by knife, right? But I mean, it's not because, well, knives are just as dangerous as guns. Because again, if you go and just compare the statistics, percentage wise, right? I'm saying per capita, right? So we're not going by, because a lot of people like to say, well, there's less people in Canada. No, I'm saying per capita. So when you look at per capita, the numbers in America are outrageous in comparison to most, if not all, of the westernized world, certainly most of the world in general. The numbers are outrageous. The numbers of prisons and prisoners, outrageous in America. The number of prisoners who are held in solitary confinement for years or decades, outrageous, despite all of the research that we know that social isolation and stuff like that makes people paranoid, and anxious and violent and aggressive, right? And definitely doesn't help anything. So, I mean, at the end of the day, you have to recognize, right? Like, I'm not saying again, at this point, there's nothing you could do to illegalize guns in America. Like, you can't, right? But like, the fact that people fight so ardently to not have any type of restrictions is crazy. It's absolutely crazy to me.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It's getting worse and worse. It's not getting better. We really have to put some laws out there for guns, because I think the only people who should have guns are like homeowners, just in case somebody like tried to break into their houses, or law enforcement, security, people like that. Random people shouldn't be able to have access to guns. Things like this happen.
I mean, honestly, I gotta say, and here's my problem with the homeowners, right? Is most people think that their guns are very secure in their houses. I'm gonna say most people don't just leave them all out all willy-nilly, right?
Right.
However, the problem is that people think kids are idiots. So don't realize kids pay
Mhm.
attention, kids know your codes, kids know where your safe is, kids know these things. And the amount of times, like the percentage is too high of either children shooting themselves or their friends, right? Because they're playing with a gun that they shouldn't have had access to, but they knew the code to mom is safe or whatever. Or the
Mhm.
percentage of times where one family member shoots another in the middle of the night by accident because they think it's a robber, right? And they're nervous and jumpy and
Got a
anxious and playing,
point.
right? The problem is that guns don't necessarily keep you safer. They don't necessarily do that. So it's a problem. It's a conundrum. It's a catch-22 for those people who absolutely have that all on lock. Okay, but I'm going to say the majority don't. I'm just saying. I'm going to say the majority don't, because I bet you that nowhere in the world did this 18-year-old's grandmother think she was going to wake up that day and get shot dead. Bet. I'm just
Yeah.
saying.
Yeah, she never thought that. And it probably was her gun too.
That's what I'm saying. If it wasn't her gun, it was certainly other factors she had him exposed to that made him quite so comfortable to go and pick up guns. Yeah, Omega, we said this. We said this before. The criminals have guns here. They can't walk with them to the frequency and extent that even American criminals can walk with guns. I'm telling you, the thing is, a lot of the criminals here who have guns, they have a gun that they have hidden somewhere. Because God forbid you get caught with a gun here. You might as well get caught, R-ing or, someone. Your crime will be lesser. Your punishment will be lesser. So people hide it, right? So do they have access to them? Absolutely, but they don't walk with them. They don't, because they can't, because we don't live in a society where that bulge in someone's pocket or waistband is an okay thing. There is no legal cause that you would have that on you unless you're a cop. Literally, not even security guards, cop.
Absolutely.
So it makes a difference. I'm telling you, it makes a difference. When criminals want to shoot each other, they say, yo, I'm going to go grab my gat. Or nine, or have gat mostly here.
Right.
I'm gonna go grab my gat. And so when someone goes and storms out of the bar or whatever, yo, it's time for you to go home, because they're gonna go drive to a location probably not that far away and come back with something. But they did not walk in there with that. They can't. Do you see
Well,
what I'm saying?
here in America, they go right to their trunk, pop their trunk, and take it out and start shooting.
Mm-hmm.
That's how they do it here. I literally saw somebody get shot. It was not a good sight. It wasn't. It's really scary. So, yeah, you're right about that. But everybody, we really, really appreciate you coming. We love seeing your faces in the chat all the time. So make sure you hit that like button. It's free, and we appreciate you, and hopefully you appreciate us. So
yeah, it really helps us, guys, when you actually click the like, when you type in the chat room, those little things, they really help us because they boost us in the algorithm. They make sure that new eyes or even our currently subscribed people actually get notified that we're live right now. So
right.
every little bit helps.
So we have someone in the back chat. Let's bring them up. It looks like we have Blue. Maybe you want to add something to the story.
Hey,
Blue. Welcome. Yo.
What's good? Live up front.
Hey.
What's that? Mr. News himself. All right. What do you got to say about this, right?
This is
Man,
Blue TV 2022 news.
yo, this shit is crazy. I mean, it's unbelievable to see all these tragedies happening. I don't know. I had a conversation with somebody. They say it's robots and shit out here doing this shit. We ain't gonna get too deep into that, but they're saying people brains is being altered, and we're not even gonna go into that. But
It's
it's
very
just too much.
interesting. What do you mean?
It,
Their
it
brains are being altered. You can get into it. What do you mean by that?
Nah, we're not gonna get into it because y'all don't want your channel to get fuck with. It's
Okay.
that type of news. So that's something you can talk about in the back chat. But it go back to the title that we put up the other day, Mysterious Deaths. I believe this is something that's mysterious. It's mysterious how people are going into places and killing innocent people. Like you said, they killing innocent people, killing kids.
Yeah, I
They
don't know
go
what's
into these places killing kids, killing older ladies, and females going into a school. I'm really lost for words, to be honest with you. I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm really lost for words. And I just don't believe these things are happening.
yeah, it is unbelievable. I
You
mean, this
know,
is
I don't know, if not to cut you, I don't know if it's the government doing things and making episodes so they could get through the gun laws. I mean, we're always gonna be pointing a finger on who it is and who it ain't. But now let me ask you something. Was this person Caucasian?
Hispanic, it looks like. They said he was like Ecuadorian or something, El Salvador.
Ecuadorian? Yeah.
I believe so.
He looks like he is maybe a non-black Hispanic person. So I don't know
Oh,
Right.
you
how
know
to
what?
say
You
that.
did show that. I did see the picture. Um,
Yeah.
I think it's something mentally wrong with people. Now, how did something become mentally wrong with them? That's the mysterious part. Are all these
Right.
people are all these people just grew up a certain way, or well, did they come from a country, third world country, where this is what they saw? You understand what I'm saying? And this is what they think is right, and then they come here, and right now we are in recessions and things are hard for people can't get jobs, and all their mind is just messed up, and they reacting to doing crazy shit like this, because this is the second shooting in what, within 2 weeks.
I think within a week. The other one happened just last week, right? Ruby?
It happened, yeah, it was just over a
What he
week.
mean
Yeah.
on election day? Today's election day.
I don't know. I was gonna ask y'all. I'm not American. So
What? No.
No, it's not no
Shut up,
election.
Ruby.
It's
You
not
know
no
a lot was
election
going
day.
on in America, Ruby.
yeah, but I don't know.
Don't
Listen, I can't.
don't use that border shit now. I'm on the
I
other
know,
side.
yo. What is convenient, man? What is convenient?
Yeah,
No,
I
honestly,
know. That's what I'm saying. Oh, I don't know. I'm not a I'm
I'm not
Canadian.
American,
Oh,
bro. I
Megan,
What
don't know
about?
when we
What
vote
about?
here, so I'm gonna be real.
oh,
I don't
Megan.
know when we vote here, so I definitely don't know when y'all vote there. So
No, yeah, well, you know that we vote in November and all that. So, but
Why? I want to know
well,
why he
Megan,
said he's shocked that he's Latino. Why?
yeah,
Why you
Megan
shocked?
Judge said he was shocked that he's Latino because usually, I guess, usually they're Caucasian, but not really. We had a couple of times where they were African American, Arab. I mean, I guess right now it's never shocking. Nationality is never shocking. Any and
Just like
everybody can pick up a gun.
the guy that did the bombing thing. He in the train station.
Yeah, he
So
was
I
black.
mean, it's sad to say, in cases like this, when things like this happen, I always tend to believe in conspiracy theories. And you just think like, is it the government? And sometimes it
It
can't
can't be.
always be them.
Right, that's what I was gonna say. You
I
can't blame
mean,
his mental illness on the government. I don't think the government would kill a bunch of children. I don't
well,
think that's what would
hold
happen.
on.
So,
Now, I don't know. The government is This government is crazy now. I don't put nothing past them. Because there's a lot of things going on, sex trafficking. There's a lot of things that the government allegedly is involved.
All right, well, let's not talk about that on the stream because
That's why I said
yeah,
allegedly.
but let's not say
Well,
that.
let me talk about this. I want to address what Placido said because this is the second comment he made, and I missed commenting on the first time that he brought this up. And then I think we should play the second video so that way, we give everyone the updates of the details. But I want to say this. Here is my issue. It's not just the inceldom, okay? Although I do think that is 1,000% a factor. Placido, I agree with you that if he had had a loving relationship with whatever woman, or I don't know, maybe he like guys, I don't know, whatever, woman or man, if he had had a loving relationship and he saw that there was a positive future for himself, I don't think he would have done this. Now, with that being said, here is the issue. I don't think it's just the fact that you're involuntarily celibate. And I'm gonna add in a factor here that I know some of my black pill friends are not gonna like, but I do add black pill in there. Now here is how I added in. When you take a bunch of very young minds who are losing in life, like back in the days when if you were a loser in grade school, middle school, high school, right? The message to you was all you got to do is survive till the end of high school. And then once you get out of high school, you're out of that little teeny tiny limited fishbowl, right? And you're going to get to go to college or university or wherever, or a new job where you're going to be able to meet like minds, right? And you're going to find people on your level, and it won't always be like this. The problem is, right, when you have like say the monks, right, the MGTOW monks or black pill or whatever, and you combine that with a bunch of involuntarily celibate, involuntarily friendless, very young minds, and they are growing up fully steeped in this message that there is no hope and there is no future, right? Every woman's out to ruin your life. Every person's this, every person's that. Only if you're a Chad, and if you're not born that way, and da 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 da. Right now, think about how devastating and hopeless that would be in a time of your development where you literally have to believe the opposite in order to get through it, right? So I think that it's a combination of all those things. I think it's cool. You want to be a monk. In fact, I remember back in the days, the guys who were like in the MGTOW monk kind of thing, they used to say like, they don't agree with 16, 17-year-old boys saying that. Like they say, you got to go out there and try life first. If after you've tried life, you've really invested, you tried, the self-growth, discipline, so on and so forth, and whatever, it's not working for you and you want to fall back, cool. But like, to start off before you've even hit adulthood with this messaging for years that tells you there's no hope at all. Like there's no hope. Not be super careful. Not you got to always have, eyes in the back of your head. No, not you got to be super vetting people because da 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 da. Not watch out for this, this, and this. But there's no hope at all. There's no hope at all. What would you do if you literally believed seriously in your heart and soul that there's no hope and no point in anything?
Mm-hmm.
And you're 17, so your brain development's not done, right? The parts of your brain that control impulse control, that help you reason through things, right? That put two and two together, that are able to do the future planning thing and foresight. Those parts of your brain are not fully developed, right? But what you are is a hormonal, crazy hormonal teenager.
Mm-hmm.
What are we expecting? We got to be careful sometimes that we're balancing messages. That's what I think.
You got a great point there, Ruby. But Complex with another super chat. Thank you, Complex Easy. We appreciate
Thank you.
This is for you, Blue. He says, tinfoil hat on tight today, I see. Yeah, Blue, you got a lot of conspiracies going on there. And I think that was towards you. But thank you so much, Complex. And I believe there's another one, Ruby. You want to read
Yes,
that
there
one?
is. Complex. I had it highlighted.
Oh, sorry.
Girl, I'm working with you. No, okay.
See that you highlighted. My bad. Okay, go ahead.
He said, Hitler had a wife, just saying. Yeah, but remember that look at what Hitler did. He went and slaughtered legions of people who looked just like him. so he could get ultimate belonging by the group of people he deemed to be superior to the people who look like him. What does that have to do with? That's a whole lot of self-hate, right? A whole lot of inferiority complex, right? And what was his way of overcoming that? By creating a super race that he literally wouldn't qualify for, and then getting all of them to look up to him, right? It's a completely different mentality than walking into a school or a shopping center or whatever and then arbitrarily just gunning everyone down, right? There's a different whole psyche to that. I hear what you're saying.
Absolutely. Yeah, we get it, but that wasn't a great analysis. Thank you anyway for that.
Yes, thank you though.
We appreciate you.
All right.
And
We
there
want
was
to play the
something-
news?
Yeah, let's play the next one.
All right. Sure those volumes up. Yeah.
Let's begin about breaking news in Texas. There's been a deadly shooting.
Fair use, y'all.
The governor of Texas announced 14 students and 1 teacher were killed in the rampage. Eden is in the newsroom with the latest on this developing story.
Nicole Calvin, we know the 18-year-old gunman is also dead. The FBI is now carefully reviewing his past to figure out why he walked into an elementary school with the intent to kill. Now we're taking a live picture right now outside of the school in Uvalde, Texas, a small town of a little more than 16,000 people. Still a very active situation as this investigation continues. And we're waiting on a press conference to start at any moment now. But here's the latest. Here's what we know right now. A horrific scene unfolding at a Texas elementary school. Multiple people are dead after an armed suspect went on a shooting rampage at Robb Elementary in Uvalde, a small community about 80 miles outside of San Antonio.
The shooter was Salvador Romas, an 18-year-old male who resided in Uvalde. It's believed that he abandoned his vehicle and entered into the Robb Elementary School in Uvalde with a handgun, and he may have also had a rifle, but that is not yet confirmed.
Parents crowding around the campus facing a new grim reality that their kids won't be coming home.
He shot and killed horrifically, incomprehensibly, 14 students and killed a teacher. Mr. Romas, the shooter.
It's 18 students now, just to let you guys know.
He himself is deceased and is believed that responding officers killed him.
Governor Greg Abbott also revealing the suspect shot his grandmother before setting his sights on the school.
The number of firearms, the number of the millions of AR-type weapons, we don't know if that was used, but something like that perhaps today. Elementary schools typically do not have security because they typically don't need it. And so the combination of maybe no officer there, a person with overwhelming firepower probably had to go through very little security.
The mass shooting coming just over a week after the massacre at a supermarket in Buffalo, New York.
Shooter started outside, shot people outside the school, then shot his way in. Perhaps you have the same version here. But to not repeat myself, we are at the mercy of what we know about people in advance. And without that, there is no realistic way to stop these.
When parents drop their kids off at school, they have every expectation to know that they're going to be able to pick their child up when that school day ends.
They should.
Okay, let's go ahead and take another live look. This is at Uvalde, Texas, at Robb Elementary School in that small town there. We're seeing some people, I think, being airlifted to another hospital. I mentioned this is a small town, so the hospital in Uvalde is not equipped to treat the injured people in this shooting. So some of them are being...
I want y'all to imagine that these parents show up at the school, right? Because I don't think people realize. So parents are showing up at the school. The school can't tell them anything because they don't really know, right, the status of any of these children who have to be airlifted out of the city and brought to a major city that has a hospital that actually has the resources to treat significant wounds like gunshot wounds and whatnot. And that is 18. So I think our count is up to 20. If what I just saw in the chat now is correct, that's 19 kids.
And two adults, the grandmother and the teacher. So that's 21.
That's 21. That's 21 people. Now we don't know how many of those people were DOA, right? But ultimately, that's at least over a dozen people that are needing to be flown out. And that's probably why it is that we started off with knowing that there was a death toll of 14. And then we're getting updates, right? Because they had to be flown out, probably being given CPR the entire time, right? And then being rushed into surgery. And this is all while the parents are still like, I don't know, right? Because the hospital is not going to stop to try to get an ID with a kid bleeding out. They are just going to rush them into surgery, try to save the kid. We'll figure out the details later. That's what's happening. That's what these parents are dealing with as we speak right now. Some of them still. It's
Right.
just
I mean, you heard the father say he don't know where his child is. They
yeah,
won't tell him anything. I mean, this is, oh my God, this is awful.
just
But Game
horrible.
Changer, hi Game Changer.
AGC,
Thank you so much for the super chat. We really appreciate it. He says, peace to the chat.
yes,
Peace.
thank you for showing up for this really important discussion. Thank you so
It's very
much.
important. And you know what, Ruby?
Mhm.
I need, me and Ruby really appreciate all of you. We really do. Thank you for
Yes,
all the super chats. Thank you for hitting the like button. Thank you for sharing our stream. And just make sure you continue so we can stay in the algorithm. We really
yes,
appreciate you.
exactly. Even if you don't have anything great to say, just say what's up in the chat. That boosts us in the
Anything.
algorithm, y'all. Thank you. All
Right. Thank you.
right,
Okay.
let's watch the rest of this now, guys.
Being sent over to another hospital in San Antonio, Texas. And about 45 minutes ago, the school district had notified parents to pick their students up from the school and that the kids would be escorted to their parents' car because the bus transportation was canceled for the day. Again, we are learning, by the way, the identity of the suspect identified as 18-year-old Salvador Ramos. He is also dead. And again, we're hearing that 14 students and 1 teacher are dead after this mass shooting at the elementary school there, Robb Elementary School. We also, as the governor had just mentioned, 2 officers were shot in a confrontation with the gunman, but they are expected to survive. And again, we're waiting on that press conference to start. So hopefully authorities can fill us in on what happened here at Uvalde, Texas, a small town, a close-knit community that has been impacted now by another mass shooting, 14 students and 1 teacher dead. This is happening in Texas. So we'll keep an eye on this developing story. And of course, as soon as I learn more details, I'll share it with you.
Yeah.
Kelvin?
Okay, thanks a lot, Eden. We are.
But yeah, there.
This is crazy.
It's just devastating. You know, and I mean now you've got the border patrol people. They are because apparently so border patrol showed up. I guess Uvalde must be very close to the border because border patrol showed up you know, before the police did, and that agent got shot. I don't know if the 2 police officers she mentioned were in addition to that border patrol person, right? So I mean, it just seems like the numbers, they're not even sure where the numbers stand, which makes sense because again, we know that they have to be flying all of the victims out, right? So whether it's an injury or death, I think we're probably going to be waiting until tomorrow to really get a fully accurate, complete number. So
Yeah, definitely. I hope this is it. Hopefully it just stays at 21. And it's just hard to even say that number. It's such a high number. 21 people. Wow. Um,
it's terrible.
unbelievable. Yes.
Kenny Conjo, what's up, brother?
Yeah,
I haven't seen you in a bit,
it's been a while. Thank
right?
you.
Thank you so much, sir. Yeah, he's probably over on the Cali coast, whatever coast that is. So for him, this is only like 7:30. He's like, y'all are normally on when I'm at work.
Right.
But thank you so much.
Exactly.
He says, "Hey sisters, Melody, Classic, Ruby, shout out to you both. They are reporting 19 kids, 2 adults. Blessing to you both. I'm very familiar with Uvalde. Really? I've never even
Wow.
heard of it before until this report, to be honest with you. But
Me neither. I'm being honest. And I'm from America. So,
oh, good. I was
yeah,
going to claim Canadian ignorance on that one. Like,
American ignorance here. But yeah, we appreciate you. Thank you, Kenny. We appreciate you all.
yes, thank you so much.
And guys, hit the link too. We're dropping the link. So we want to get your take on this whole thing, this big tragedy. Come up and speak your piece, speak your mind. Let us know how you feel about this. The link is
Now,
in the chat.
and I see there in the chat as well, someone said that they have Instagram. They have images of the shooter, him talking to one of his friends or something on Instagram. So I'm trying to find that so we can take a look at that as well while we're here. So
Oh
I'm looking
yeah.
for that now because I mean that would be. I think that is the thing. I always find it's a low key tragedy when the shooters are shot on scene and they die. And the reason why is because no one ever gets an answer. Nobody. None of these parents. They don't get to you know, try to put him in jail, to face him, to hear him have to allocute to his sentence, to hear his excuse. Like they just never get to,
Right.
you know,
And they
and
don't get
for
to torture his ass in prison. Excuse my
right,
language.
son,
Yes.
son.
Keep him alive, send him to prison so they can get tortured to death. And I know that sounds harsh, but he needs to feel the pain that these children felt and these other adults felt. This is ridiculous.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. I agree with that. And I think that I don't know, for me, like that would be the worst part is just not knowing why, you know?
Mhm.
Like how do you live the rest of your life not knowing or understanding why? There has to be a psychology. See, this is what I think. This is what I think, right? This is I'm not
Mhm.
even making an allegation or whatever. I'm just saying this is what I think. I think that for this kid, um, I think he was a coward. I think that he was not that bright, but he was bright
Mhm.
enough to understand it would be easier to walk into, as they said in the news report, it would be easier to walk into the grade school that has no metal detectors than it would be to have tried to get something into his high school, which does.
Mhm.
Um, I think that he justified it by thinking to himself, well, I was getting bullied when I was a kid anyway. And so, you know, it starts here with these kids who are all evil. And let's be real, kids are little shit sometimes. But,
Yeah,
you know, so I think
absolutely.
yeah, I think that's the connection. I think there's going to be, um, oh, and I'm seeing now there was a new update recently. Let's see
Uh-oh.
here.
What
So,
is
because
it?
so they keep saying that there was handguns and then there was also maybe a rifle, but they're not sure. So
Mm.
it was not the grandma's gun, it was actually apparently his. So um they're saying that the Texas school gunman bought 2 rifles on his 18th birthday.
Wow.
It was that easy. That quick, that easy.
Probably from like a Walmart. That's what they do over there in Texas
Mhm.
and down south and in the Midwest. They get them from
Right.
Walmart.
Yep,
Wow. What a
absolutely.
crazy little boy he was. Unbelievable.
It's
Oh, Kenny
terrible.
again. Look at Kenny again with another one. Thank you, Kenny.
Thank you,
We
Kenny.
really appreciate the support. He says, my very first Air Force duty station was in Del Rio, which was near, how you say that? Nuval? Nuvaldi? I'm sorry, I don't even know how to say it. Very small desert town, but had a little party scene back in the days. So let me ask you a question, Kenny. Are there a lot of black people there, or is it mostly like Hispanic, Mexicans? Like, let me know in the chat because I know Texas has a really big Hispanic population. So let us know how it is.
Well, I think it's interesting. They were trying to say that the kid was part of some gang thing, Mexican gang thing or something or whatever in some reports, but I'm not seeing it in all the reports. So I don't know. I guess there is they're talking about there is a big Latin community like
Oh, yeah. Because it's close to Mexico. It's the border of Mexico. It's like you can walk from Texas to Mexico. That's how close it is.
right. Now look at these messages. So says I'm about to. And then the friend says, "What? About to what? Good morning." And he says, "I'll tell you before 11. Good morning." And
Mm,
the friend says, "Oh, good morning. What?" And he says, the shooter says, "I'll text you in an hour." Friend says, "Okay, okay." And then he says, "But you have to respond. I got a little secret. I want to tell you." Shh, emoji. Friend says, "I might be taking a nap because I'm really sick, but if I'm awake, I will." And then shooter
mm.
says, "Bet." The friend says, "Bet, bet." Shooter says, I'm an air out." And then Buddy says, "What? Hi." I don't know what does I'm an air out mean? Is that like teen talk for something
Yeah, I think
specific?
that's kid talk, the new generation. Yeah, I've never heard that.
No, I don't know. I guess I'm not cool enough.
Right.
So right?
We're not cool like them. But yeah, what weirdos. Even the way they talk sound weird. And I saw in the chat somebody said he was GA. I mean, that really don't have anything to do with it. Or maybe it does. Maybe he was picked on for being rainbow. And that's probably why he did it. Where did you get that information from? Confessions? I think Confessions said it. Is it like out there publicly, or did you just say that?
That's what I'm wondering. I mean,
Right.
someone said called him the F word for gay people in this
Mm.
post here, right? They said what an F, right? But that more seemed like someone from my generation where we used to use that word not
Yeah, the
to have anything to do
millennials.
with your sexuality. It just was like saying what an idiot or
Yeah,
what a
yeah,
loser, right? Like you
us
weren't, it really
millennials
had nothing to do
definitely.
with being gay. But I
Yeah,
don't
us
know.
millennials definitely did use that word a lot back in the day. Definitely.
Yeah, absolutely, right? So
Yeah.
I mean, and then so this was a picture he had on his what did they just say that was Insta?
Is that Instagram?
I think it's Instagram. The same Instagram account, yeah. So it's this Instagram account. The Instagram account is deleted now. Was deleted shortly after Texas Governor Greg Abbott identified him as the shooter. It featured photos and stories of automatic firearms, as well as selfies of someone who strongly resembled a photo of the killer shared by the Texas Department of Public Safety. The account posted an image 3 days ago of two rifles, including what appeared to be a Daniel Defense AR-15 with a high-capacity magazine. Another image from April 28th showed someone holding a magazine. Now, here's the thing. I'm positive he must have had something that was somewhat automatic. I don't see how you can shoot that large amount of people in such a short period of time unless you have something pretty automatic. I don't know. I mean, again, I know I don't know everything about guns, but I just feel like,
Mm-hmm.
there's what, like 6 or 8 bullets in a semi-automatic handgun,
Seemed to
and
be semi-automatic.
right. So he only had that one gun. Then he took the time to stop and just reload the one handgun when he just bought 2 rifles,
Yeah, that
including an
makes no
AR-15.
sense.
Nah, it doesn't make
Yeah,
sense.
something's not adding up.
Mm,
Definitely not.
absolutely
Mm-mm.
not.
Mm. I think
Okay.
you want to read that super chat?
Yes. And actually, I think we skipped one.
I
Yeah,
think we have that,
oh
and
no,
then
it's
hold on.
after. Oh, I'm way far
Right.
down. Okay.
Where are
So first
you?
let me say, I'm sorry, Kenny, I wasn't paying attention that much when Melody read your super chat, but thank you very much, sir. I don't know if I actually said that because I was looking at for the pictures, but now Complex Easy, thank you very much, says
Thank you.
my high old school had, I'm gonna say my old high school
Right.
had
I think that's what you
I'm trying, man. Said my old high school had x-ray machines, magnetic locks, metal detectors, and security, and we ain't never had a school shooting. Yeah, because how you gonna get a gun in?
Right. How you gonna do that? It's impossible. I
Yep.
think with the elementary schools, they don't have all that because they're not expecting that to happen there. Whereas with the high schools, they're expecting it because there's like older kids there. So,
Yes, exactly. And you know what the thing is though? Here's the problem. So the same group of people who want zero gun regulation, zero gun control laws, zero tightening up on any of that are the same ones that will then run around and say we're treating our high school children like they're prisoners, having them walk through metal detectors every day. Like, are you not understanding why they started doing that? I understand, right?
exactly.
Is them 2 Colorado kids, right? I'll never forget Trenchcoat Mafia. I'm telling you because it affected me so deeply at the time. But I'm like, that's when they started putting these up everywhere in high schools to try to protect other high school kids from other high school kids. So you can't bring a gun in here. You can't bring a knife in here. You still have fists to fear maybe, or swirlies, or all those other types of things, but one thing's for sure is that we're not going to give you easy access to just mow down one or several of your classmates. Like,
Right.
why are we arguing
Exactly.
against that?
Yeah, exactly. Ruby, you've been on point. I mean, damn, girl.
Thanks. Me and you know why? Because on Just Ask Shar, we do the news every Saturday at
Yeah.
7:30 p.m. Right? So I'm so used to like covering the news stories now. It's like my brain thinks in news story. I don't know why.
Oh, yeah, you're on point though. But yeah, thank you so much, gorgeous Slim Duncan. I think she is so pretty. Thank you for that
Oh, she
$5 super.
is.
Isn't she? I always say that. But we appreciate you. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you so much. Like, gorgeous. See, I need to see something gorgeous today.
Nice
You know?
chocolate, gorgeous woman.
Proving certain crazy people wrong, because I watched too much of that travesty earlier before we
Oh
found
my
out about
God.
this. You know?
We can get into that later because I do want to speak of that.
But I mean, like, I'm just looking like, here's the thing, right? Okay, that's why I said I'm like, people think that, well, if I just send my kid to a private school, that'll be enough. If I just move them out of the bad side of town, that'll be enough. But is it really though? Let's look. Let's look at this school. Just look at this. Looks like, I'm positive this is private school, expensive school level. I'm looking at this. That's all I see is expensive school. Okay.
Mhm.
It has these big, giant, majestic trees, the nice, clean sign. It's super clean. It looks expensive. Okay. Let's be real.
Yeah,
Like,
it
this is an
does.
expensive school. And despite being at this expensive school, okay, these kids were not safe. So trying to blame it on the impoverished, trying to blame it on Black people, trying to blame it on some group, right? We have to realize this is impacting, like, everyone. This is impacting everyone. And you're not safe just because you got more money. You're not.
At all. You're not. And just like I went to private school when I was young, and people used to walk in and out of that school all the time. And you would think because our parents were paying so much that we're safe, but anything could have happened in that school. So I'm telling y'all, just be careful. It's not because you're dropping your babies off thinking it's going to be okay, and it's not.
No. And hold on, before we get to Slim Dunk, I just had to say this real fast because you ignorant, okay? No, Canadians are not poor, Mr. Know-It-All, okay? It's not because of a brick wall. Look how clean everything looks. Everything is sparkly. Look how clean the sign is. Look how white the white is on the school, around the windows. Look how, like, they don't have money for this level of maintenance at impoverished area schools. They just don't, right? That's why things start looking more and more worn down over time, because they don't have the same level of money to get things power cleaned 5-6 times a semester like the richer schools have. They don't have the same level of money to be making sure there's no weeds growing and da 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 and whatever. But if you look at the grounds of this school, they have the money for all of that, which tells you that they are a higher level, or a more expensive education. That's just what it is. Sorry, but okay. Now we going back to not ignorance. Okay, so Slim Duncan the gorgeous. Thank you very much.
You, beautiful. Thank you.
Look what she's saying. You see what she's saying? She's saying, you ladies are so beautiful. I don't hold a candle to your beauty. Girl, please.
Girl, you beautiful just like us. Knock it off.
Exactly.
You
You
got
part of the
that.
pretty posse. I already know that.
Right. I guess we all pretty, huh?
Oh yeah. I would never put me down. I already know I'm beautiful. But
okay.
Right, I like beautiful people. I told Melody this all the time. I'm very vain. So I'm telling you, girl, we just a group of beautiful people. Let's be real.
Yes, we are. Thank you. We
But thank you
appreciate
so much,
that.
honey. You're too sweet.
Thank you. But we haven't heard a lot from Blue up here. Blue, you have anything else to say?
Oh.
You must be busy.
Yeah,
get back
or
to you.
if you are talking, we can't hear you, so you might need to leave and come back. I don't know.
Yeah. But let's real quick before we go on, let's reset the room. We're talking about this crazy Texas shooter right now. So make sure you guys tune in, hit the like button and support. We will really appreciate that because we appreciate you already for being here. We have our loyal people. So hit that like button and share if you can on your platforms.
Please. Again, any type of interaction helps. So even if, you don't like the subjects, you don't feel comfortable hitting like, you can hit dislike. Interaction still helps.
Right. If you don't like it, hit the dislike button.
Right. If you've never listened, if you're one of those people, I'm telling you, because I know I was one of those people who used to listen to live streams, but I was scared to talk because I thought like you had to be somebody. Like, I was like, I don't want them to be like, who are you? You're invading our private space or something. Like,
Right.
no, I did. I was like that. I cloud watched for so long, so I was so scared to type. Don't be scared to type. Everyone is very friendly. You know what I mean? We give you the same energy. You come in with love and respect, we show you love and respect, and it's okay. No echo chambers, so you don't have to agree. You just have to be
Mhm.
respectful with it. So
And ladies, we need more of y'all to come up. We
yeah.
don't get many ladies. Please come up and support your sisters, your two
Mhm.
sisters.
Yes,
Come up and
please.
support. Yes.
Please. Now I figured while we're talking here, I should scroll through some of these pictures. These are the two rifles that they're talking about that he bought. So this 18-year-old who aged into adulthood, 10 seconds ago,
Hmm.
was able to purchase these. I don't
Crazy.
understand. Even if you think that you need a gun for protection, tell me why you need this for protection.
You
Like,
don't.
what? Gonna
That's
pull out your AK? Like what?
Yeah, that's straight hate crimes right there. That's not protection. You know what you were doing. And if they
Mhm.
go through his computer, they'll probably see he'd been planning this for a while.
Oh yeah. Probably. I mean, again, this is most of these people have their little manifestos, right? They've been
Mhm.
just like I can't remember what his name is, but that kid who he was just like, I'm rich and I have the good genetics and but girls don't pick me, they pick the Chads and the black guys and da 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 da,
Hmm.
right? And like he just went on this like tirade because he just felt like no, his money should have been able to buy him all the women he
Mhm.
wanted, but those women weren't choosing him. And so he felt no way he's recording this video to let everyone know this is why I'm gonna go gun down a bunch of people. Just so
Yeah,
we're all clear.
he's good. And he even look crazy.
Hmm.
Crazy people look crazy. Like, look at him. Look at that
Yeah.
face.
I
Like,
mean,
he was
I think
disturbed.
if you kill your own grandmother or mother, and that's not even like your target, because it's not like, listen, I'm not again justifying nothing, but I'm just saying if you were abused severely and then you end up taking out the guardian that's abusing you, I get that.
Hmm.
But when you're just like, nah, you know what? She told me to clean the dishes last night. I don't like it. So I'm taking her out first on my way out the door to go take out
Yeah.
a bunch of children.
Yeah, and that's what it looks like happened. I'm sure that lady wasn't abusing him. I mean, I don't know. I wasn't there, but there's no reason why he should have killed his grandmother and these children. That
No.
is insane. But look, we have another lady, Jasmine Sunshine. Hi, beautiful. Look at that
Oh,
complexion. She has a really pretty complexion.
oh, hey, girl. Ooh, I
Mhm.
love your skin.
She
Ooh,
has beautiful skin. Thank you so much for that. She says, you ladies are so beautiful. So are you. Thank
aw,
you. We really
thank you,
appreciate it.
sweetheart. Oh no, I seriously like I am so like in love with dark skin. I really like I could just live in it like all day. I
Yeah.
could just stare at it and live in it. Oh, so
Yeah, she has
gorgeous.
the perfect complexion. Like my sister. She has the exact same complexion as my sister. Gorgeous.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. And thank you so much for the super chat, love. Oh, that's so nice.
Thank you.
Yeah. See, this is my issue. So Alyssa says, right, it's crazy that they're selling these types of guns to the general population. And I think the same thing. Like, I can't even get down with the guns in general, but if I can, it would be with handguns. I don't
Hmm.
understand. I understand why if you live in Bexar County or whatever, right, why you would have some normal rifles for hunting purposes, right? But
Right.
that generally, if you're talking about, protection in your house, I don't see how you can try to convince me that you need this. I
There's
just
no
don't.
reason. Yeah, that's, that. I'm sorry. That's just ridiculous.
There's no reason that 18-year-olds or 25-year-olds or the average person in general has access to fully automatic or 100 round magazines of anything. What do you need that for? Like,
Mm-mm. You
you
don't
can't
need it.
convince me. Exactly. You can't convince me you need that for anything. I'm sorry, you can't.
Let me address Mr. Know-It-All. He says, "Oh, so Alyssa's not beautiful." Looking at Alyssa's picture, she's gorgeous. So don't even try.
I, I,
Stop
I
trying
saw
to
it.
start trouble. She's gorgeous.
Oh, damn. I didn't even see her. I read her thing in the chat. So like before I clicked on it, I didn't even look at her. Damn, she kind of
Yeah,
looks like me.
she's
Yeah.
like, damn,
So
she looks like me.
yeah, and y'all know how highly I think of myself. So
yeah, she's gorgeous.
she does kind of look like me. That's kind of you're kind of tripping me out, girl. I feel like if I could do like a makeup look and look like this is crazy.
I mean,
I really feel like we might be related. I don't know.
y'all can resemble each other, but not really look like each other. But you both are still gorgeous, like equally gorgeous. But thank you so much for pointing that out, because I had to go back to that avatar.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
she
didn't
was
even
gorgeous.
like look at her. So when I like
Yeah.
that's why I was like, damn, you're right. Ooh, she is gorgeous. Sorry, yeah, we did her wrong.
You did it
We had no
wrong.
business not noticing that.
Ooh,
Okay.
we got a chat full of gorgeous ladies. It's crazy.
I love it. Right? Like
But
attracts like. Beautiful attracts more beautiful. All
that's
right.
it. Right?
All right. Oh,
Before
complex
you go on,
easy.
yeah, read that super chat before we go
All
on.
right. Complex easy. Thank you very much, sir. I
Thank
like your
you
challenges today.
again.
They're
Right? He's
thoughtful.
being so generous. Look at
Right?
him.
Right?
Thank you.
And so he says, what is the difference between that gun and a hand? Are are you serious? What's the difference between the
I think
massive
he's
rifles and
trolling.
a handgun?
He's trolling.
He's not. No, he's not. He is of this belief system. I'm watching his comments in the chat. And so, okay, let's see. How many rounds are in the average handgun? What, 8 to 12, right? Now, that makes sense if you have it for protection purposes, right? And you want to make sure that in case your hands are unsteady or they start to flee, to come around and try to get you from another angle or something, that you don't have to stop and reload after 3 or 6. Okay, I get it. Fine. Tell me what viable purpose these have in self-protection. First of all, they are way harder to aim. They're way harder to control. They're not really meant for being like specific, targeting one person, minimizing damage and whatever. You're just trying to defend yourself. They're meant to spray a crowd. When do you need to spray a crowd to defend yourself?
Exactly. Like I said, those are hate crime weapons. If you're not using them for hunting, they're hate crime. And I don't even know if those are used for hunting, are they?
No.
Right?
No, these are like assault rifles.
That's what I'm saying. They're definitely not.
No, those are things that people buy and then they go to gun shows and to gun competitions and stuff like that and whatever and show them off, but like they don't have a practical use in self-defense at all. They're just cool. And then in that case, yeah, you know what? I might say that, hey, we can blame things like 007 and Call of Duty for people being fascinated with these crazy automatic weaponry and what they do and how they would perform and people wanting to see that in real life. I can kind of put that connection together, but it still comes down to, why is this accessible to the generalized? Why is this accessible to 18-year-olds who turned 18 yesterday? Why is this accessible?
Not even 18-year-olds, anybody. That shouldn't be accessible to anybody. Who should need that?
True.
Who would need that, So yeah. It's crazy.
That's absolutely true. It's just, I mean, I don't know if y'all, what would have to happen for those of you guys who are like, this isn't guns' fault, and we don't need stricter gun regulations or any type of gun reform. What would need to happen for you to believe that there's an inherent problem here and there needs to be some reform? There needs to be. Like I would really like to know. That's it. If anyone wants to smash that link, come up here and let us know why it is that you don't think that the gun has anything to do with this situation, that you think that somehow if he just had a knife and some throwing stars, he would have been able to take out 18 kids. please come up here and justify that, because
Yeah, hit the link. Mr. Know-It-All, Tyron, you guys usually come up. Hit the link. I want to hear your take on this. Some of the ladies, Alyssa, who else we got? Slim Duncan, Jasmine. Come up and give us your opinion.
oh y'all, it's very,
Oh my
very, very
God.
small.
I'm
You
sorry.
can't really see it, but look right here. So this picture, this
Mhm.
is of Salvador Ramos, right? And it's from kind of far away, but you can see he's holding a rifle in his hands. Let me see if I could zoom
I don't
into
see
it somehow.
them.
I want to see if I can get zoomed in enough that you can see it, because I know on the StreamYards it's small. Oh, wait, hold on. Back up. I don't even know how it is zoomed. Can you
You see
see
someone?
that?
I don't see them.
You don't see him? Hold on. It's like right here. Do you see him right here?
Oh, I do.
Okay. Look, there's a long thing sticking out of his body right here.
Okay, I see it now.
And now it's sticking out up here as well. You see that? So this is
Yeah.
it's like, this is like the butt, and this is the barrel, I guess you call it. Obviously, my gun knowledge is not super great. I apologize. But yeah, so that's him walking. He's just walking with his giant rifle. And again, you couldn't do that in Canada. Just walk with your giant rifle in your hands. And no, because 1,000 people would have called the police long before he got to the school, because you can't do that. You can't. Just no one can. There's no justifiable reason why anyone would have a gun, let alone brandishing it in public, right? Like, there's just no justifiable reason. So therefore, he would have been stopped. And that's why I say, I'm like, when you have less flagrant laws around guns and whatever, it literally impacts people's ability to catch bad actors, and to identify them right away. And again, was this kid crazy? Was this kid gonna hurt somebody anyway? Yes.
He was nuts.
Right? But could he have hurt 20 people today? Could he have done that?
Of course.
Now, how hard would it have been if all he had was a knife versus a gun? Right? Because the only way you're going to be able to do max damage like that is if you know how to build a bomb. Otherwise, right? So since most kids don't know how to do that, but it's not that hard to point and shoot, right? That's what I'm saying. Like, we have to recognize the ability. What kind of ability is it giving to crazy, violent, aggressive people who are angry and want some kind of revenge or whatever? That's what it comes down to. That's really the discussion we're having here.
Yep, absolutely. Complex Easy came through again, Ruby, with another super chat. Thank you. We appreciate you. He says, big gun equals scary, small gun equals safer. Did I read that right? Yeah, big one. Yeah, I read it right. Thank you for that, Complex
Big gun
Easy.
equals scary, small gun equals safer. Yeah.
Right.
I mean, it's not even about it being big versus small. It's about their capability. If that same large gun could only shoot 9 bullets before you had to stop and reload, if you had to pull the trigger between every single bullet being shot, right? Then I would say no. As far as their ability to damage, right, and speed at which they can do that, and mindlessness with which they can do that, are about equal. But again, when you have these automatic weapons that will shoot off like 100 bullets in a minute, or more than that, I think it's more than that, but I don't know, right? And there's hundreds and hundreds of rounds before they have to reload and whatever, and then you have literally very little control, like precision, over what you're aiming at versus what you're hitting, versus a handgun. You don't see the difference there. Like, I mean, those are two big factors. So it's not just that it's like, because it's small. No, if it was small and it also shot off 500 bullets a minute, and you just had to press the trigger, and as long as you were touching it, it's going to be rapid firing bullets, I would have the same problem, because it would also therefore lack precision. And it's not a weapon of defense, right? It's a weapon of war.
It looks like Complex Easy has a problem with you saying ban all guns. He's like, cars kills more people than guns. Let's ban cars. So he's pretty much saying, like, I don't think he likes the fact that you're saying ban the guns.
Well, yeah, I definitely think that we should ban access to war weapons.
Hmm.
It's kind of like how think about it this way, right? So as a country, right, most people don't have a problem inherently with the CIA as long as the CIA is not spying on them, right? The Americans don't want the CIA to spy on Americans. They want the CIA to spy on threats to America and other countries so that way, America is the most, knowledgeable country. They know what's happening, right? No one has a problem with when a government agency like the CIA is operating on foreign soil, but everyone has a problem when it's operating against their own in shady ways. How dare the CIA just read your emails? You didn't do nothing wrong. You're an American citizen. You have rights, right? So it's kind of like it's the same thing. An automatic assault rifle is a weapon of war. You do not need a weapon of war in your house, in
Mm-mm.
your little suburb neighborhood. You don't need it. You don't, right? Like even if you had the weapons, you're like, okay, well, but I go bear hunting or I okay. And when people have rifles up in their cottages and like, little vaults up there and whatever, so that way when they are going to go hunting, they've got those types of weapons available. Fine. But what do you need it for in the suburbs?
Right.
I don't understand. I really don't. I mean, you can come up here and explain it. Like I said, smash that link. Come up here and explain it to me. But I just don't understand, honestly. I don't.
Lemon Pepper Wing 69 says, "Do you realize that banning things doesn't make them go away, right?" That's true. He got a point there, Ruby. Just because they ban it don't mean people are going to stop shooting people.
Yeah, but again, it's all you have to do. Here's the thing: you've got your feelings, right, and then you've got your facts, and so you can objectively measure, first world countries that have the gun laws like America's, and then first world countries that have gun laws like mine, and then first world countries that maybe are somewhere in the middle or even more restrictive than Canada, right? And then you can just look very easily at the statistics of how many people are being injured and killed by intentional or accidental gunshots. It's very simple. Like it's not like it's a difficult thing that you need to like look up or whatever. They have the statistics. All you have to do is go and compare per capita, right? How many people are getting hurt intentionally or accidentally? And the accidentally one is super concerning, but by guns. Just within your own country, how many people are dying via, stabbing versus gunshot? People are dying via, and again, we're talking about assaulting from one person to another. How many people are dying via being punched in the head versus a gunshot? Right? Like it's not like these are objective things I'm referring to. You might not like what they implicate, but they're objective.
Right. Well, we have two new people on the panel. We have Tyron and we have, who's that? Mr. Know-It-All. Hi.
Ah, you came up. Melly called you out. You came up. What's up, Mr. Know-It-All? And hey, Tyron.
Well, Tyron came first, so let's go with Tyron and then Mr. Know-It-All. Hi, Tyron. So what's your take on this?
All right. First of all, shout out to the chat, you, Melody, Mr. Know-It-All, Blue, and Miss Ruby. I wasn't gonna come up because Ruby, she was cooking, so I wasn't gonna. Yeah, she was cooking. She was cooking, so I wasn't gonna come up. But she asked a question, so I had decided to come up and answer that question. She said, I think you said, Ruby, why they need assault rifles in suburban communities. I think that's the question you asked.
Yes.
Yeah. Y'all can hear me, right?
Yes, we can hear you loud, clear.
Okay. Yeah. I'm gonna tell you the reason why suburban communities. I mean, y'all seen the George Floyd thing. They're afraid that Black Americans are gonna invade their territory. They're afraid that. I mean, you've seen it with the Buffalo shooter. They think we're the replacements. So they keep these war weapons in their suburban communities just in case, they feel Black Americans are tired and fed up and might just invade they suburban communities because they don't want us there anyway. So the only way to fight off, how you gonna fight off, say 100 Black people come running into a suburban community? You can't fight them off with no handgun. You got 10, say 10 black people beating on your door. You can't fend them off with no handgun, and they got guns too. No, these WS people in them suburban communities keep those assault rifles on hand just in case another riot pop off, and they got to defend themselves. That's my take.
So, I mean, okay.
You get what I'm saying?
Here's my thing though. Do your laws, right, in America account for, let's say there's a mob outside of your house, right? They're not inside your house, but they're outside of your house. Does the law account for you mowing them down with your automatic weaponry because you are scared of them?
No, not necessarily. But I mean, look, the Constitution was never for black people. I mean, look what Kyle Rittenhouse did. He went across state lines with an assault rifle and shot down people and got off. You see what I'm saying? It was it's like the Kyle Rittenhouse effect. They feel people are taking over our neighborhoods. We need war weapons to hold down what they consider us as black people and Hispanic people animals. And ain't no 9mm or no 40 cal is gonna hold down a mob of people that WS people call animals. So they need war weapons. It's like they feel like they in Vietnam when they in America, you know?
I hear you. I think that, the word feel is prevalent, right? Because just because you feel one way doesn't necessarily, like, I guess, line up to the justification of the behavior, right? Like, I might feel like A, my husband's cheating on me, and B, I might feel like that is literally the end of the world, and C, I might feel like that is the most threatening thing that ever could happen to me in my life, and D, I might feel that no jury would convict me if I kill him. But then if I go and kill him and a jury convicts me, right, I shouldn't be surprised, because no matter how I felt about it, objectively, the law, no matter how I feel, doesn't support me in cold blood slaughtering my husband because he cheated on me, right? Like, it just doesn't.
Yeah, I know exactly, but you just made a good point, Ruby. But see, you got to separate. Listen, you got to separate the laws against. They say black and brown people. I speak about black people. You know what I mean? The law, the Constitution was never set up for us. I mean, look what the Buffalo shooter. They didn't gun him down. He put the gun to his neck. But they killed his Mexican boy because they feel like I guess he was Mexican or El Salvadorian or something. I don't know. He wasn't, I don't know. I didn't see no full-blown Caucasian in him. And I just caught this story when Melody just posted it. So you got to think, look at all the mass shooters that wasn't gunned down, that were non-black. It wasn't gunned down because the Constitution works in their favor. Yeah, you could say, oh yeah, because I feel some way, I ain't supposed to do it, but I do it anyway, and that's not the law. Of course it's not. That's not the law, but that's their law. That's why, you know what I mean, a lot of black leaders have to come up and step up and say, hey, listen, man, this hate crime bill against Asians. Why blacks don't have no hate crime bill?
Well, probably because of people who think like Snuggles. Why would you people, we people kill each other in droves, so therefore, like, okay. But here's the thing, right? So the Kyle Rittenhouse, so I have to address this, right? Kyle Rittenhouse shot another white person while running away from a group of white people trying to attack him. No, because Kyle Rittenhouse was not getting chased because he was a white kid or a white guy. Kyle Rittenhouse wasn't being chased because he had differing opinions. Kyle Rittenhouse was being chased because he brought a gun into a group of people and then brandished it while threatening them. Like, we cannot lose perspective of objective fact. And the objective fact is that if Kyle Rittenhouse had never, first of all, transported himself in a gun across state lines, to then go and brandish it at a group of opposing minds who were peacefully protesting, then he would never have been in a position where he was running away from anybody. So let's try to be a little bit more objective with our rationale there. Whatever you think about the case and how it was resolved, but let's not forget the fact that, again, no one was chasing anybody but him. And guess what? All the other people weren't brandishing guns at the crowd. Shocking. What would you do if someone was brandishing guns at you in a crowd of your family? Would you not try to maybe apprehend the person and take the gun off of them? Because I'm pretty sure most people would. Most people would not just stand there and let some power-hungry kid with a gun just keep brandishing it and using it as a possible weapon that might go off and hit one of your loved ones or one of your friends, one of your people. No one is going to just stand there and let that happen either, right? So you have to realize who made the first wrong move here. This is the problem with guns. This is exactly my problem with letting kids have rifles and ARs and stuff like that, right? It's because it's one thing to feel really cool and badass and whatever in a video game when you walk up with that gun, they're like, oh, he's got the bomb one, and I'm scared I won't attack him because he'll be able to take me out in 2 shots. Okay, it's a different thing, and then you go put yourself in that situation in real life, and you're not prepared for that, right? But that's a different situation than this 18-year-old that we're talking about here, Ramos, who bought a couple rifles, okay, and then walked into an elementary school to gun down small children. Okay, sorry, not the same. Not the same.
Right.
Let's not bring up Rittenhouse. Not the same.
Exactly. But I just want to get the next person on the panel. Let's go with Mr. Know-It-All. You came up. Hey, Mr. Know-It-All.
Hey.
Hey, how y'all doing?
Good. How are you? Oh, what's up with the deep voice today?
Yeah, I was gonna say, do you always have that voice? I don't remember that voice.
You doing that on purpose?
This is my voice.
Yeah.
But
Damn.
my voice sounds different on different devices, I think.
All right. What you got to say with that booming voice of yours?
Right.
All right, so a couple things. One thing, responding to what Tyron said. He said they feel like they need war weapons to fend people off. The common logic you hear is if the criminals have them, we need them.
Yeah.
And so they think, if the criminals have the assault rifles, then I need an assault rifle. How am I going to defend myself against an assault rifle with a pistol? Right. But it's also important to notice that speaking of Kyle Rittenhouse, that guy in certain political circles is hailed as a hero.
Yeah.
To show you that guns aren't going anywhere in our country anytime soon. Kyle Rittenhouse is considered a hero in certain circles.
Yeah.
So if a guy who shoots guns, first of all, he should, I believe it was illegal for him to be in possession of that gun or in that state, one of the two, or whatever the combination is there. But yeah, that's a hero.
I think my understanding, and this is just my understanding, was that he wasn't licensed to carry, but even if he had been licensed, he would be licensed in his own state, which he was not in. So, and then even if you are licensed in one state, it depends on your level of licensing or whatever, as far as you being allowed to carry a gun from one state to another and stuff. So I think there was a bunch of different complications there. And so I think that what happened was originally he had admitted that he had the gun and he brought it with him. And then when they realized that that was really going to screw him, they changed the story and the narrative so that someone there had given him a gun, right? Not that he had brought it with him, but that once he got there, then they gave him a gun to help him so he could help defend the store, whatever.
Well, there's another important wrinkle with that, though, is if you've seen video of him before the shooting, the cops were giving him daps for being there. And that's another big problem with gun reform in our country is not even the police, the majority of them, want to get rid of gun rights or want to get rid of guns. it's not just about. I don't know. I've shot guns, and I'll admit they're fun to shoot, but there's something. It's ideological. I mean, it's like this. It's like this literal attachment to the Constitution, where it says you have the right to bear arms. I have the right to bear arms, and that's it.
Yeah.
They don't care. It doesn't.
Y'all got to understand the context of what that was put in, though.
But hold on, real quick.
That's why
in our country we've had children shot by active shooters. We've had politicians shot by active shooters. The elderly. It's been racially motivated. It doesn't matter what mixture of motivations you put together. We're not even close even at this moment to banning guns. And I honestly don't think banning the ownership of guns would be enough on a state level. It would have to be federal, and you would have to ban the manufacturing of guns. Because if gun manufacturers are still shipping guns to some states but not others, it's not hard to put guns in the trunk of a car and drive across state lines and guns to other criminals.
Hey, one question before I think the next person coming on is that Blue. I just want to ask Ruby one more question. Now, Ruby, now if they ban guns in America, who's going to defend the country?
Good question.
Defend the country from what?
From terrorists.
Are you serious?
Yes. If you talking about banning guns in America. All right. So you mean just American citizens and not the military?
Obviously not the military.
The military.
Not the military. Not police forces.
Wait. Hold on. Now, what if that military person come home and he happened to stash a couple of AR-15, some crazy WS boy come home and stash some say maybe 10 AR-15s and start passing them out?
Here's the problem. With whatever scenario you can come up with, what you can't really address or answer to is the simple fact that for all of the guns that are in America and for all the guns that people seem to have, it's not really slowing down or limiting the amount of deaths by guns. In fact, it's skyrocketing the number of deaths per capita by gun to an outrageous point, right? And this is why I said at the beginning, I said, no, obviously we do have illegal guns here. Absolutely. I mean, at one point for a good time, we had the whole Jamaican mafia scenario going on up here, where that's exactly what they were shipping in here. And where were they getting the guns from? Well, America. But the point is then they were getting shipped in here, and yeah, a whole bunch of illegals, a whole bunch of criminals had guns, right? But again, and a whole bunch of criminals and illegals have guns hidden somewhere here now. And yet, what do you not see here, right? You do not see, there are mass shootings, right? We have a very limited number in comparison to America. Like it's a minute, like it's infinitesimal in comparison to what's happening in America per capita. And so what you have to recognize, right, is that for all of these guns that people have and are getting because they feel like it's keeping them safe, in truth, what's ending up happening is a lot of those people regret it when their kids or someone finds them, accidentally shoots themselves or another kid or someone else in the family, or they accidentally shoot someone in the family because, you know, they heard a bump in the middle of the night. But what often happens is that you don't have the gun on you. And even if you do, you're just not trained to draw it with a quickness and a speed given the type of circumstance and situation that you'd be in. So what ends up happening is people die with guns in their side tables, guns in their waistbands, guns in whatever. So these guns are not like this automatic power. Once you got the gun, that's it. All you got to do is have the gun on you. And then once the criminals burst in, you got it. You'll be in the right room at the right time with the right finger, the right whatever, and it's going to be great. Like that's how the way it works out.
Actually, of that, there's a very classic example of that when they had the Las Vegas shooter shooting out of his hotel window. One of the country music artists said we had our guns on us, but we couldn't even pull our guns out of fear that we'd be mistaken for the gunman.
Right.
And it's like, so I mean, in a situation like that, in fact, I live in Colorado. There was I don't know if it's famous nationally, but there was a famous case of a guy, a gunman, an active shooter. And I know a girl who's friends with this guy. This guy, a civilian, pulled a gun, killed the active shooter. And when the police showed up, they thought he was the active shooter and killed him.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep.
Unbelievable.
Happen to store owners too. Store owners who pull a gun, to defend their store from, robbers or whatever it is, right? And the police get called, or the alarm button gets pushed and whatever, and the police show up and they just gun down the store owner because he's the one with the gun in his hand, right? I mean, these so-called mistakes happen way more frequently than you would think that they do. They're obviously, the police aren't doing it on purpose. It just comes down to that they're looking for the threat, right? They are trained to look for the threat in the scene. And so they looked for the threat in the scene. They saw a person with a gun. They know that there was someone in here with a gun holding up the place. And so they're going to assume it's you and take you down because you're still holding the gun.
And they're
You
also
see what I'm
trained
saying?
to preserve their own lives first.
Yeah.
Exactly. To another point, look, Ruby, like banning guns from the United States is never going to happen. But to your point, listen, instead of banning guns, won't you say, like, boom, okay, the government needs to clamp down on, you said people who be having guns in their house, they don't know how to shoot them. Okay, then hey, let's push for the legislation to come up with a plan and say, hey, all right, if you're not trained to use that gun as a defense mechanism in your own home, you can't have it. But you can't say all Americans can't have it, because there's a lot of Americans who know how to use guns to defend their family, whether it's an AR-15 or a 9mm. You can't just say banish all guns, and you know what I'm saying? And it's people who use their guns respectfully and never even fire them.
Right.
That's
Okay,
probably
guys,
the best solution,
real quick, guys, before we finish the conversation, we have 2 new super chats. Ruby, I think it's your turn to read this one from Complex.
All right, Complex, easy. Thank you very, man. He's got a lot to say today. He's like, I'm
We
getting my comments
appreciate
read.
it.
God damn it.
Right.
Well, thank you very much. And he says guns are banned here, and so the video, I did click on it, and it's a video from 12 years ago where a man stabs and kills 8 children at a Chinese school. And my rebuttal to that would simply be, how frequently does that happen? Right? Again, per capita, how many people get stabbed and killed every year? Per capita, how many children in elementary schools get stabbed and killed per year? At school, at their desks, in places they should be safe, right? Because the argument is not that, well, again, guns don't kill people, people kill people. That's absolutely right. But guns make it way, way, way faster and easier to kill lots of people.
Yeah, Complex X, that's a one-off. You can't use that as a rebuttal. Yeah, as far as knives, we talk about guns here. We talk about weapons of war.
Right. Well, thanks for that, Complex. And we have another one from Complex. Wow, he's so generous tonight. Thank you,
Yes,
Complex.
thank you.
We appreciate you. He says, if someone ran up in Ruby's house with a gun, she would have to defend herself with a spoon because guns are not legal in Canada. What do you have to say about that, Ruby?
No, my family, a family tradition, right, that we just have is you have a bat. My grandmother can swing a bat like nobody's business. When that woman got arthritis and everything in her body, she could swing that bat like nobody's business. And trust me, it's one of the heaviest, oldest bats you ever seen in your life. But it will break your whole face open. And see, that's the thing. There was never a fear. And I'm talking about, even when we're talking about like a lot of West Indians who live like in these places that do have a lot of guns and gangs and stuff like that in Canada, right? You see them women running out of their house with a bat. They cracked a few of them on the head, and those guys took off running, right? Because most of the people who are doing like simple breaking and entering and stuff like that.
That's a one-off too. You sound worse than Complex X.
Yeah, let me say this, Ruby. Most women can't hit a man with a bat.
They went in. They went in. They went in
without
without intention. They went in without intention.
Let me finish my point, because here's the thing. Most people, unless you want to R-word or kill somebody, right? Unless that's your intention. Most people who are doing by and large, most people who are breaking into people's houses are there for some easy theft. Okay, so they think either the people in the house are going to stay sleeping, right, or they're not going to be met with much resistance, right? That's really what the pathology is. As soon as real resistance comes up against them, they start getting cracked in the head, you know, noises being called, 911, alarms start going off, they take off and run. Why? Because their point was for an easy theft, right? They just wanted to go in, steal some stuff, you know, maybe sell it, pawn it for some whatever, right? Now, if the person's there to kill you, if the person's there to R you, then yeah, you know what? Well, now you're in a different kind of battle, right? Because that person means you in directly harm, which means they walked in there looking for, this person's probably going to put up some resistance, and I'm prepared for that because that's part of the game. You see what I'm saying?
Ruby, you telling me that a guy or two guys run up in the house with a gun? So why, if they was going there for easy resistance just to grab some things, why are they coming with guns? If they gonna get cracked over here with a bat and then run off with their guns, I'm sorry.
Because guns.
Are you talking realistic?
Tyron, think about it. What do guns ensure? Right? It's compliance.
Fear.
Compliance. It's not about the fear. It's about no. You don't have to be afraid. All you have to do is comply, and that is the point. If you don't have a weapon and they do, right? Even if you do, you could have 10 guns in your house, but if you don't have any of them in your hand. You could have one in your waistband, but if you don't have any in your hand right now, and there's a gun being pointed at your head, you know what you're gonna do? You're gonna keep your hands in the air, and you're gonna comply. Now you might be biding your time to wait to try to get your gun from somewhere, but the point is you're gonna comply. Why are you gonna comply? Because in a half of a second, and more time, and less time than it's gonna take you to reach to get a gun, you're gonna get shot in the head. So what I'm saying is that guns, that's why they come in. They're hoping they catch you unaware, right? There's a gun aimed at you, and it's going to ensure compliance. That's all they need is your temporary compliance, so they can back you into a corner, so they can get your hands tied up, whatever it is, so they can go about their business. So in case they do encounter someone, they want this weapon of compliance in their hands. That's what it is.
Okay, so you just said somebody, a woman come out swinging with a bat, and the guy with a gun just run off because this woman got a bat.
Yeah, well, you think that she stood in the hallway and waited for them to approach? No.
What world do you live on when you ever seen some crap like that?
Have you never seen that?
Man, you watch too much reality TV.
I've watched it in real life. Well, you don't stand in the hallway and wait for someone to approach you. Because if they have a gun, guess what? It doesn't matter that you have a bat, because the reach of the bullet is infinitesimally larger than the reach of a bat. So you hide around a corner. You wait for them to come through the door. And normally what comes through the door first? The gun. They're leading with their gun. They're leading with their hand. They're leading. If you talk over me, you're not gonna hear me. They're leading with the gun because they have a gun. What do you hit first? You hit their hand, their wrist, their gun hand first. You hit it really hard. The first thing they're gonna do is drop the gun. The next thing you swing for is their head. Yeah,
You've been watching
absolutely.
TV.
No, it's not watching TV. I've literally seen my grandmother do it in real life. Literally saw it.
That could be possible, but that sounds like TV crap.
No,
and
it's not.
I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna say this.
Y'all just never had to defend your home with anything.
Right.
I'm telling you.
Let me just say this real quick before we move on. Everybody, please support us like you've been doing. We appreciate you coming. Make sure you hit the like button and make sure you share this stream. We really appreciate you guys. We're going to go with Chow Hound, and after Chow Hound, we're going to have adult supervision. Go ahead, Chow Hound.
Look at Melody being the voice of reason over here. Okay.
Go ahead, I'm going to start with the fact that I'm ex-military. And I'm going to say this about some of these shootings. Some of these shootings are false flags. They are created by the government to do certain situations. Now, the thing is, it's all set up to look like, because if you research MK Ultra, all you got to do is research that. So it's already been a CIA-backed situation, and they got enough information on it. That'll give you enough information. Look that up to let you know about certain things that the government has done, and that's including some assassinations and stuff. But this is the thing about, let me how can I start? I start off with the false flag, and then me being in the military. I got training. I have training, and I have an array of weapons. And the thing is, each one of them is for a purpose. Now, as far as my business, my job, I carry a gun. Now, I'm in one of the hardest states to own a weapon in this country, and that's California, because they just about banned parts from the gun where they won't even sell the guns because they said, well, you can't have this part. So companies like Ruger and all of them pulled out. The thing is, during this situation with BLM and all the Antifa and the rioting and all of that, no matter if they were pro or anti-gun, everybody would hit the stores here in California, everybody in fear, because what they're pushing right now is for a race riot. Everybody don't see this, but I see it. They're pushing it, and they're going at it different little ways. That's why when they had the some of the militant groups get together, and then you had the army groups that get together, the civilian army groups. I can't even think of the names of them right now. Militias. When you had the brothers get together with those ARs to counter the militias, that put fear in their heart, because you got a lot of people that stood up, even though some of them did not. A lot of them, matter of fact, wasn't even military. They didn't even know how to handle the guns. Even though they showed a sign of force, it was equal to what was being presented on the other side. The problem is, on that other side, they're very well trained, because a lot of them are ex-military. These cats that popped up on the black side, a lot of them weren't. And these fools ended up even shooting themselves by accident. That just goes to show you that they did not have experience with handling weapons. Now, here in California, they require you, when you buy a gun, you have to take a class on gun safety and how to handle a gun. You got to go to the range. That's what you have to do. Now, if you was a military, you're exempt. If you're law enforcement, you're exempt. Security, if you got the experience and have your permits, you're exempt. And the thing is, and I've been in some altercations. A gun can be a deterrent, and that is the truth. Because I had to protect my pops. I put my life on the line. And the thing about it is, you know, even with serving the country, you put your life on the line. But the thing about it is, if you have a mature level of dealing with weaponry, you can get in and out of situations very well if you're very well level-headed. Because I've been in a number of them. Because actually, the person I was protecting, they wanted to kill him. And the way I positioned myself and the way I handled that situation, they told me if it wasn't for me, they would have got at this person. But they knew I wouldn't hesitate to do what I had to do. I let that be known. They knew that. They saw it. They saw it in my eye. Because there's some things, when you got your mind set in a certain way and you got certain intent, people can look in your eyes and tell you, damn, this motherfucker, he ready to get down. You can sense it, you can see it, you can feel it. You can know it. When I got out there, I didn't play. When I dealt with my job and other things, I just did not mess around. But the problem we have here is most of these, most of these youngsters and so on are getting the guns illegally. Now, if you want to ban weapons, fine. You can start banning weapons, but guess what's going to happen? See, the one thing the founding fathers realized when they wrote that Constitution, they knew how they wrote it. Even though there's some bullshit in it, they wrote it because of what they dealt with England. And the thing was, there's this little meme I have. When the British came up to Washington, he said, sir, you have to give up your weapons. And basically, in the meme, Washington said, fuck you. And they couldn't do nothing. But that's when the war was the war. And the reason why they set this up was because of what they've seen in England, in Europe, and other countries. If you don't have gun rights, the government can go run amok. They can do anything to you. Good example, look what happened down in Australia during this lockdown. You take the guns away, and they just voluntarily gave all their guns up. And they were getting the shit beat out of them. They were forcing them in their homes. I communicated with some people down in Australia. They were telling me it was really fucked up down there. I said, well, You gave your gun rights up. That's how come they can get away with what they're doing. Because they have no impunity because there's no fear. There's no fear of retaliation or anything because there's no fear of you standing up. Here, they're worried because they're not going to even tell you about the situations where the cops are getting shot. They're keeping that very quiet right now. Very quiet. And the thing is, since you had all these, and I got so much stuff to say about this, that's why I'm all over the place a little bit. I call myself writing down notes here, but I'm trying to be on top of what I'm saying. There's so much stuff going on with these laws. And California passed laws where you can't have parts on guns. So guess what? These guns are not being sold. Right now, there's no bullets anywhere. You know why? Because everybody done bought the bullets up. You're pro-gun, you're anti-gun, even anti-gun people done bought guns, and they're smart enough to know when some shit go down the way this is being pushed with this country, you don't know what's going to happen. Here, I did a report where the Chinese army is down in Mexico. And then I posted the report that they had on Fox. Well, hell, the Canadian government, they're working with the Chinese officers training them. So here you got the Chinese possibly up in Canada, definitely down in Mexico. Those are two borders right there. And the thing that you all don't realize is the government, the military cannot arm up inside the country. Only the National Guard, and it's only for assistance. So what is being told to me, known for a fact, if a military decides to march up through Mexico, Canada, we're basically shit out of luck, assed out. And that might be our saving grace. The fact that we'll be able to defend our country if it's invaded. Because the rate we're going, it can happen. Don't think it can't. It can happen. Now, as far as the criminals and stuff, you were talking about the laws. Look, they're going to have the guns regardless. So you take the guns away from the law-abiding citizens, guess what happens? Hell, they can run amok and do what they want. Shit, they can pull a gun out and they don't, hey, you ain't got shit. Give me what you got. Give me your card. Give me whatever. Give me your wife. Whatever the fuck. Because they took all the guns. Can I ask you a quick question?
Go ahead. I've been thinking about this nonstop since you said the false flag at the beginning. And since everyone is comparing this and they're saying this is literally the worst elementary school shooting since Sandy Hook, I want to know, do you buy into the belief system that Sandy Hook was also a false flag?
I got a book on that. Well, you know what? Not Sandy Hook, the one in Colorado. I got a book on the information on the investigation on the one in Colorado. Sandy Hook, I don't have the complete information on. There's some information I had where there was a door that was locked and somebody let him in. That's the only thing I picked up as far as the Sandy Hook incident. They were supposed to be a door that was already locked there. Somebody let them in. But then in each incident, there was more than one shooter. You had 2 or 3 shooters, and it's one third person always, the second and third person always ends up disappearing, as well as San Bernardino. There was another one where they had eyewitness reports. It wasn't just the husband and the wife. There was a third person. There's always this second or third person that ends up disappearing.
Okay.
It's always, and this is in reports. This has been in reports. Now this is in the reports of some of the stuff that I have researched and looked at.
Which shooting in Colorado are you talking about? I'm from Colorado.
The school, the shooting in the school, because I got the book on that one.
Columbine.
You're talking about bullying for Columbine. Yep.
You said that wasn't a real shooting.
No, I didn't say that.
Well, see, I wanted to clarify.
I said it was more than what. It was more than. There was another gentleman that was short, cropped hair, military style cut. That's the one that the third person that they had in there. That's the person that was in and out.
That's not what false flagging means.
Hold on, one question. Is that the one? 1 second. Is that the one that Alex Jones had covered and was currently being sued? Which one is that one?
I'm not sure on that one because I don't follow Alex Jones like I used to.
That's
okay.
I'm not sure on that one that
that's the one right there.
Sandy Hook.
That's the one that
Sandy Hook is different.
Yeah, that was the
Jones is being sued about.
Yeah, that's totally different. The Texas one is totally different than that
That's
one.
why I was asking, because I wanted to clarify what you meant by false flag, because most people who talk about that literally say that these shootings didn't ever happen. It was all lies and a bunch of deep fakes. And you have parents who are literally calling their kids who were there that day, who were victims or who lost best friends or whatever,
Okay, but
telling their kids that that this was all deep fakes. It's all just a false flag, and they don't believe it happened.
false flags are not always interpreted as a shooting that didn't happen. False flags would be a situation that's set up, so it is a shooting, but it has a meaning behind it. It's been set up, and in some cases, MK Ultra is used in it.
Okay.
So that's what I'm talking about. I'm not saying the shootings didn't happen. I'm saying that they're happening, and then there's what you call handlers. They're handlers.
Yeah.
They're handlers that come in and out, and there's eyewitness account of these handlers. There's eyewitness account. Because that's the one thing I follow.
Not to cut you, go back to like what I was saying earlier about people being under mind control. That states in the same area, right? They being under mind control, going out here and doing these.
That's MK Ultra, because they tied that into Sirhan when he assassinated. Well, he was involved with the assassination. He was the fall guy. That's all of that was mind control. That's MK Ultra.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate all of you guys' take on it. I just want to hear from Adult Supervision. I haven't heard anything from him. Adult Supervision, you there? You there?
Yes, not.
Yes, ma'am. Okay, you guys continue
Can you
then.
hear
Oh,
me?
no. Yeah, we can hear you now. Yes.
He
So
probably
what's your
muted.
take? Yeah.
Yeah, I was
So
muted.
it go back again, like I'm saying, mysterious things and deaths going on.
Definitely.
It don't make sense.
It doesn't make any sense.
I
But
hate
what's your
that. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Blue.
No,
You can finish and then
I
Adult.
hate to bring this up. I'm not clout chasing anything. Even the situation with Kevin Samuels, it don't make sense. Do you think that was something? You think she was an op brought in? Because I spoke with someone that's in Atlanta. He's not connected with Kevin Samuels, but he's in a circle and he know people that's in the circle. Kevin Samuels was in the process of trying to like help young men, find a manhood, the alpha in them and everything. And Kevin Samuel was reaching out to certain people to start something. And this happened. So it's a lot of things that people don't know that I'm not too familiar with Kevin Samuels, but I know people that know people, and he was just briefing me up on something. And he was saying like it was definitely the word out in Atlanta is definitely was a setup. Even I saw an interview with his cousin or something.
Oh yeah, I saw that too.
family
So you're
member?
saying all of this, all of the stuff that's happening right now in 2022, it all seems like it's conspiracies or somebody set it all up. Is that what you're saying?
Pretty much, yeah. I believe so. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. I'm definitely saying that.
So does anybody else believe that on the panel? Do you think a lot of this stuff is set up? That's going on?
A number of incidences are set up. That's what the false flag situation I'm talking about is. But it's to bring about a certain situation though. One of them I do know is that they're trying to create a race war. That is a known fact. They're trying to create. That's been known for a good while.
For centuries.
I'm just curious how all these secret plans became public knowledge.
Social media.
And
So you sound like you don't, Mr. Know-It-All sounds like he don't believe that it was set up in secret plans.
Yeah, I'm not saying it's never
I
happened.
said some. I didn't say all of them. I said some of these are. I said some of these are. I didn't say all of them. Some of these are. Some of these is mental case issues. Mental case issues. Some of these are mental case issues. But you got other ones that's tied into it in a sense too. But I strongly believe it's mind control involved in this setups.
See, I think the problem for me, at least, is I actually think that's one of the most dangerous things about any of this is that they have been able to convince a lot of the population that there's no fault or accountability there with gun regulation. There's no fault or accountability there with the way that students are treated or protected or not in school systems. There's just no fault or accountability there. And then we start getting further and further down the tinfoil hat route to the point where there are actually groups who literally actually propose that none of these things happened at all whatsoever. And so I think, to me, that's very dangerous, because then we're not actually evaluating kind of the cauldron or the melting pot of circumstances that all come together to create a mass shooter, to create someone who starts becoming a mass murderer or serial murderer or whatever, who was a law-abiding citizen, or who seemed relatively normal otherwise, or came from an okay background, and then all of a sudden these things happen. And so I feel like when we start going down too many of these conspiracy theory routes, we often miss like the most common sense part, which is oftentimes these mass shooters are under the age of 25. They are largely male. Normally they're in their teens. They're often late bloomers, and they tend to be ostracized, outcast, bullied. They cannot find any type of, really social group to stick to. They're not really good at anything. It's not like they're geniuses, right? And then on top of that, maybe they have some struggles at home or whatever. They can't find someone to fall in love with them, so on and so forth. And then they find other like-minded people who are, also outcasted and whatever, but then they start buying into doom and gloom. Right. And
that's how you get some of your candidates, because they are loners. That's where they get some of their candidates, because they're loners. Those are the best ones.
Right. That's why, like, for example,
that's why I say look up MK Ultra. Just look that up. There's enough information on it. That'll give you some information there. Just look that up. That's basically, that makes it easy, because if you got somebody like that and you got a handler, all you got to do is just work them. The CIA is good at that kind of shit. They really are.
See, now I don't believe that. So let's not have like a cross between our idealship.
Well, that's why I told you to look it up. That's why I told you to look it up.
I hear you. But I'm saying that that's not what I'm saying. What I am saying is that by buying into this concept that there's a handler and there's always someone who's coming in there to manipulate intentionally, right? It takes away the fact that, well, all of our studies and knowledge of human behavior, human neuroscience, psychiatric disorders, so on and so forth, the difference between nature versus nurture, that all of our understanding of human behavior does not suggest that without outside manipulation that this can happen and would of course happen. And the fact is that all of our objective research suggests that it would. Right. And so that's what I'm saying. We have a powder keg or a melting pot of all of these factors. And rather than us actually focus on the fact that, no, these factors are creating homebred little killers, homebred little terrorists, and so on and so forth. No, we want to blame somebody. We want to put the onus on someone else. Well, this made these people vulnerable, of course. Yeah. But then someone else had to come in and manipulate these kids. These kids didn't do this independently on their own. But you know what they did? They did.
Wait, hold on, y'all. I want to debunk what Ruby just said. All right, you just said, all right. Could you answer this question? In the 100, well, I'm not gonna go back too far because we all in our 20s, 30s, and 40s. I'm in our 40s. I know y'all in our 30s, 50s, whatever. We can't go back 200 years. Let's just go back 60 years. In mass shootings, what color were they?
60 years, we didn't have mass shootings like this.
Oh, okay. So I mean, it's like I'm saying, from 60 years to the present.
We started in the 1960s. That's where they had the first one at one of the colleges.
That's what I'm saying. I'm from the 60s to the present, 2022. What color were they?
Majority of them were white. You had maybe one or two blacks.
One or two. See, this is the thing. This is what America do. When the WS it always gets suppressed, and us black people, we get blind by that. Like, it's always suppression. Oh, it's mental health. Black people don't suffer from mental health. Yes, we do. We suffer from mental
We
health.
absolutely commit mass murders as well. So let's
What
not
mass
pretend that
murderer
doesn't
you
happen.
seen was black?
The gang, they don't look at the gang shootings as mass murder, but stuff like that, yeah, in that aspect, but that don't count. That don't count in this situation because that's black on black crime. That's why it don't count.
It's not typically random.
Yeah. What do see? Look, the definition of mass shooters is it's over 5 people, I think, right? What gang member killed 5 people in one instance?
That happened.
Well, there's some incidences I can talk about here in LA with 5 or 6 people that got shot 7 or 8. I can get into that.
No, not one person, not one person.
Tyrants. It can be one person, but the difference is those aren't typically assumed to be random. A mass shooter is a guy who just goes through shooting random people. If you go and kill 10 of your enemies, they're not going to count that as a mass shooting.
Exactly, because we not running up in federal buildings, blowing it up, and then you know what I'm saying, or running up in a restaurant and just starting shooting people. No, we're not doing that.
Well, yeah, here's the thing. So I'm going to give you guys some numbers.
We shoot each other on the block.
Okay, but I'm going to give you guys some numbers.
I got a question for Ruby.
Okay, between 1982 and 2002, okay, that is 53% of mass shootings were conducted by white people, 16% were conducted by black people, and 8% were conducted by Latino people. And then the other number is other. So it could be mixed race or Asian, Native American, whatever. So those are the numbers that we actually have. And here's the thing. Generally, and this is why I said it's actually really unhelpful that a lot of mass shooters end up being taken out at the end of killing multiple people, because that means now people are leaving manifestos and videos and stuff. So, okay, fine, we get some type of answer. But a lot of times we weren't getting answers, right? We didn't know. Why did you do this? No one ever got to question them to have an answer. And so all you can feel is that, well, this was just very random and tragic. But oftentimes it's not random, right? Like, if we were going to be able to ask this kid specifically, right? Like I keep saying, it's because he's a coward and pathetic and loser, but also he has some connection to that school. He didn't just pick that school at random, right? Most people, just like we have mass shooters here, for example, one guy, when he shot up his university, well, that's the university that he was going to until he either failed out or dropped out. And he dropped out because his girlfriend, who also goes to that school, basically left him. And then he felt he was never going to find anyone else, fell into deep depression, and then started blaming the school and then he went on a shooting. It's not normally random.
But the people he killed.
Did that happen? Okay, that incident you talk, is that incident you talking about in Canada or here in the United States?
That one particularly was in Montreal.
Okay.
Right. So just like, I didn't want to just bring up American mass shootings because that's not fair. Because
no, we in America.
Let me just say this real quick, guys, because Blue been trying to ask Ruby a question. So let's have Blue, then let's have Mr. Know-It-All, then Tyron, and then Ken. All right, let's go. So
she had answered it, and that was what I wanted to ask her. I wanted to ask her, was there any mass shootings in Canada? And she just had mentioned it, so she pretty much answered it.
All right, awesome.
We have actually so at the time, so this was like in 2000 and I'm gonna say 2004. We had a whole sniper situation right outside of Union Station, which is like our big subway station in Toronto, and it was involving at the time my boyfriend's first cousin. Like I knew her very well and whatever. Like I left work early and everything. We all headed down to her mom's house. It was just a crazy thing. But basically, he had it was a black guy, and his wife had left him, so he had been caught cheating for like the umpteenth time.
So
okay, there's a lot of noise.
About the randomness of shootings. Those guys at Columbine, they targeted Columbine because of the people who were bullying them. They had a list of people they wanted to kill. But
right
ultimately,
outside of Union Station, right? And so even though he had killed, several people, and this was a mass shooting, again, not random. Like mass shootings feel random to the people who are, because it's like you're shooting a lot of people, but it's not random, right? The fact that you were there is random, right? But the fact that they picked that place oftentimes is not random. If
yes,
you
but
understand what I'm saying.
the people they're killing is random.
Right, yeah. And
Well, no, normally they're trying to kill at least 1 or 2 or 3 people. They normally have some targets, specific targets, but then everyone else who gets caught in the crossfire, the more the better. But they normally do have at least 1 or 2 targets there,
Right,
which
but
is why they went there.
But Ephraim said that he said what connection he said what connection did the Buffalo guy have with the supermarket?
No, she over talking to him. That's why she can't hear.
You heard me, Ruby?
Wait, no, I hear you just fine. I'm not understanding why you're saying.
But every time
Here's the problem.
I'm sorry, everybody's talking. I really couldn't hear.
Right, that's the problem. You can't start talking in the middle of my sentence and say, "Well, she's over talking."
You just did the same thing to Mr. Know-It-All.
Right. See, this is the problem though, because if you're going to cut me off midway through what I'm saying, then I didn't finish what I was saying, right? And I normally let you guys finish. So if I didn't get to make my full point, then yeah, I'm going to feel compelled to make my full point before I stop talking. That's just what it is.
But I thought you said I was talking after Baloo, and after Baloo talked, you started talking.
I was asked a question.
Yeah,
I was literally asked the question, so I had to answer the question.
She was right. She was answering.
He said you already answered the question.
But he then actually stated the question, so then I started responding. So I wasn't speaking out of turn or for no reason. I was literally elaborating on the question that he had wanted to ask me, but I vaguely mentioned one shooting in Canada. So I want to mention another one, say, no, they absolutely do happen here. And actually, I even had one close to me that I could tell you the details of, which is what I was doing.
Let me ask you a question. I'm sorry, Ruby. I don't mean to cut you off, but how do they have these mass shootings if it's banned, if guns are banned there? Like, where do they get the guns from?
Well, isn't that the problem, right? I mean, generally, most crime, let's be real, is committed with illegal guns, oftentimes, or illegally obtained guns. They might have been legal with the person who owned them and they got stolen or whatever. Same thing happens here, right? Illegally acquired guns get shipped across the border. People bring their guns that were legal with them from one country to another, and they're not supposed to use them anywhere, or they bring them from one province to another. Because, for example, in Alberta, in other places, actually even really far up north in Canada, you can have certain kinds of guns. Again, it's limited by what kind of gun you can have because there are bears and other types of wildlife. So you do need to have weapons that could, say, take down a bear or take down a cougar or whatever, because they exist and it would be dangerous. So, and then people are allowed to have those in those cities or those areas where, for hunting purposes and whatever. Whereas in America, the difference between America and here is like, here you can't just have a gun because you want to just be able to carry a gun for personal protection in the middle of the city or the suburbs. Like that is really where the big difference is.
Gotcha. That makes a lot of sense. All right, Mr. Know-It-All, it's your turn.
Well, what I was going to say about the randomness of gun shooting or mass shootings is it's still random, even if you carefully select which place you want to do the shooting. If you're shooting people that you don't know and have never done anything to you, that's random. If you're shooting people that just happen to be in your line of sight, that's random. The Columbine shooters supposedly did their shooting because they were bullied, and I don't think they killed even one of their bullies in their shooting. Now, as for the stuff that Chowhound was talking about with MK Ultra and all that, I have a real problem with people who try to blame events like this on false flags. And it's not that I don't think false flags exist, but I think that each scenario has to be taken on its own merits, because the CIA is built for secret operations. I mean, conspiring is what they are built to do. They've done many things that have been revealed. And so we know that these things happen, but you can't just make the connection that MK Ultra exists. Therefore, anytime someone does something crazy, they're under mind control. That's too big of a leap.
Unless
you can prove somehow, or at least demonstrate somehow, that this specific case is MK Ultra related, I think it's just lazy to think that anytime someone does something out of the ordinary, crazy, reckless, violent, that it's an MK Ultra experiment.
But I did say some. I didn't say all. I said some are. I didn't say all.
This one was?
I made it clear.
Didn't you say this?
This could be one of them. This could be one of them. That's what I'm saying. I didn't say it was, but this could be one of them. I didn't say all of them. I said some. I made it very clear on that. Because you can't put a blanket. You can't put a blanket on everything. It's just, it wouldn't make sense to put a blanket on everything. You just can't do it. But some, yes.
Then how do you distinguish between the ones that are and the ones that aren't?
When you get later reports, I'm looking for a book right now that covers Columbine, the one I was reading with the information. When you get information that comes through, like for instance, this one report that I'm pulling one of the books out right now. I'm gonna try to see if I got it highlighted and I can read it to you. Where it was more than one. It was more than just the two shooters at Columbine. There was a third one, which would be a Hamlet.
But even if there was a third shooting, how does that make it a false flag?
Because
guy got away?
It's a setup situation. It's not an at random situation. It's a setup situation.
Set up by who?
Let's say the government. Let's just leave it at that, because that's one way. Let me see. I'm looking through this right now. I got one of the books out right now that I'm looking at.
Because there was a third shooter who wasn't captured, it was set up by the government.
There was a few situations where there was eyewitness accounts of a third shooter. And then it ends up, because I listened to the reports initially, and it ended up trimming it down to fit whatever it is that they wanted to be done as far as eyewitness is concerned.
Okay, so what you're really talking about then is a cover-up.
Yes. Part of what it is, but that's all part of the MK situation. That's all part of that. Because see, it's whatever the agenda is. Now, one of them I surmise is to start a race war. Some of them are, I think, is possibly for that, because of the way you get a white person that goes into a black church or to a parking lot and starts shooting black folks. That's something to actually get a race war started.
So you don't think just genuinely race-fueled hate crimes exist?
They exist, but let me say this. Say, for instance, you got a fire. The fire's got kerosene on it. But you come along with some gasoline with a acetylene torch, and you decide, let me add this onto it. So that inflames it for the fire to do more damage. It ignites it off. If you get what I'm talking about. You get a situation that's already, the person's got whatever it is they got in their head, and you take it and you twist it and push it, add to it. You ignite it. You get it going. Just like Antifa and BLM and all of them, how that got ignited up. Which turned into a bunch of bullshit. I'm going through the book. I'm trying to find it so I can read this to y'all, because I don't have it. I got the.
So tell me this then. Why do they want a race war?
Now I can take a hint at some things, but I can't give you an answer to everything. Parkland was
fairly certain that's their motivation.
Some of this is because that was the talk. That was the talk that was going on between certain groups. Because I had privy of that in some of the groups that I had been in.
Well, I mean, clearly, white supremacist militias want a race war. They got the power in numbers. They want to exterminate. But if you're talking about MK Ultra and government interference, why does the government want a race war?
If you got us, okay, let me give an example. If you have a set of people fighting against each other while you doing your bullshit, like for instance, what's going on right now with us and the government, as far as what our government is doing, using the vaccine to have more control and more power, you got the people to get together and they realize, look, they fucking us. And you get everybody together and they start coming against the government. They're not stupid. They have so many different ways to play the game, to play people against each other so that you can stop focusing on what they're doing and you focusing on fighting each other. That's divide and conquer is the oldest rule in the book.
I actually agree with you there, Tyron. Like, I've talked about that a lot, but I mean, there's objective proof that shows that that has been always really a tactic. Is you get the majority, right? The bottom, say 60%, 70% of the population to blame each other, right? And you pick something that is arbitrary and undisputable, like race, for example. And then you tell all the white people that the reason they don't have jobs and the reason they can't get into school and the reason this and the reason that is because of black people and affirmative action. And you tell black people the same thing about white people. And then everyone's focused on each other, this, bottom 70% that has no power and really isn't the problem, right? And then they're so distracted fighting each other that they're not going to look at the top, 30%, more importantly, the top 2%, and actually demand any type of real change. And since obviously 70% far outweighs 1% of people, they definitely can't handle that, right? That's what most organized religion is literally for. It's to control the masses, so that way the 1% can continue to profit while the bottom 99% just do what they're told, in essence. And so you see that a lot. I think, though, where I don't agree that they are literally trying to instigate a race war, because I think that there's a limit. There's a limit there. They want the races to always be in angst. They want us always to be fighting with each other. They don't mind if there are some escalations here and there, but they don't want it to amount to something where the country is all out at war with one another. Then it becomes too unwieldy. It becomes unmanageable. So I think what really happened is this tactic has been working very well for countries like America for a very long time. And then social media came around and the internet boom happened, and they did not truly comprehend, like with most other factors, they did not understand the impact that social media was going to have on strengthening disillusionment and anger, and therefore a willingness and an ability to fight back as a regular everyday citizen. So I think that it was more accidental than orchestrated.
Okay, I found.
Wait, hold on 1 second, man. I didn't mean to cut you off. Okay, Melody, that's a good point. So what sparked January 6th, 2021?
Wait, that was Ruby.
Yeah, Ruby. I'm talking to Ruby.
Okay.
Okay, Ruby, you just broke down some stats. So what if it's not a race war, what sparked January 6th, 2021?
Trump? I mean, it's very obvious. Trump.
Okay, who was black out there storming the Capitol building?
There were some black people there, unfortunately.
Come on, small minority. Like,
yeah, but here's the thing, because there's only a minority of black people that were Trump supporters. But what you found, how are you going to ask me a question and not let me answer? I don't understand.
All right. You always want to cut somebody else off. When somebody debunk you, you always got this white Valley girl crap. Go ahead, answer.
No, I'm just a Valley girl. I'm a black Valley girl. So
yeah, I know you are.
Okay. So I'm just saying black Valley girl crap. I just want you to get that part right.
Yeah,
the black part.
Valley girl.
There you go.
I'm asking you a question. You debunk everybody on this panel. As soon as they start talking, you could debunk them. But as soon as somebody debunk you, you got to come with this Valley girl, liberal crap. Go ahead.
How do you ask me a question and then when I say, well, I didn't get to really answer it, then now we're going to go on this? Like, do you want me to? I could not answer.
Go. Answer.
Okay. When you take a look at what really enticed people and had people all in a tizzy, it wasn't about race. It was about this belief system that started getting pumped by Trump, by his team, by Trump supporters, that the election was stolen from Trump, that Trump had actually won, right? And that there had been this concerted effort by the liberals, by Biden's team, right? Overall, to steal the election from Trump and Trump's supporters, right? To steal the election and give it back to the bleeding heart liberals or whatever the hell. So really, that was what the issue with the issue with most of those people had to do specifically with they really believed that their constitutional rights had been violated, that in essence democracy had been stolen, because this is what was being pumped at them constantly, like on a daily deluge of your constitutional rights have been violated. They stole democracy from you. They're trying to turn this into a dictatorship. They're taking away your right to vote. They're silencing you, right? And so when you do that enough, and then you have your leader, your fearless leader, Trump and Marjorie Taylor Greene and all of these leaders just spewing the same crap and the same propaganda, and all of your news stations spewing the same crap and the same propaganda, and you truly believe that, you know what, you're under war. Democracy is under war. If you don't fight back right now, that's it. They're stealing your right to vote, and your vote's never going to matter again if you don't fight right now. That's literally what was being pumped at them for months and months and months and months and months, right? And now that like Trump and people like that are throwing up their hands saying, I didn't incite any violence. I didn't incite this, even though his speech right before the insurrection was literally inciting all of the above. You know, that's the thing. They want to wash their hands of it, but no, that's all it had to do with was Trump insisting constantly, and all of those supporters, all of those major leaders and that political affiliation insisting that democracy had been overthrown altogether, and people believing it.
Okay, I don't know how old you are, Ruby, but I'm gonna take it back because you know I'm a little old school cat. You know, I'm only 43, but you know I know my history. All right,
that old? Come on now.
Okay. Yeah. I'm old school cat. But all right, you just saying it's a Republican Party, right? So what? Okay, our people back in the 60s, right? Who was in charge of when the riots was going on in my hometown, North Detroit, California? Who was in office? It was Democrats. I at least believe.
What year you speaking? Because I've spanned a few years of riots. So which year you speaking?
Okay, I'm talking about 65 to 67. My hometown, New Jersey, and Detroit was rioting at the same time when Lyndon Baines Johnson was in office. The Watts riots, after Kennedy got killed, Lyndon Baines Johnson was in office. Democrats.
Right.
Democrats. Right. So all that she talking about Trump and Republicans, because Trump was never a Republican or a Democrat. He was his own party.
I didn't say Republicans. I said
actually Trump started out as a Democrat because he was a Hillary supporter, but he had to flip in order for him to run.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I said Trump. I didn't say the conservatives or Republican. I literally said Trump and everyone who supported Trump. Right now, that is largely conservatives, obviously, but it's not conservative party or Republicans' fault. It's the Trump-isms.
Okay, so those people who stormed the Capitol building, what were they? Republican or Democrat, or they were just Trump supporters?
They were Trump supporters.
So they had no affiliation with the Republican Party.
Well, I mean, some of them, actually, I would say probably the majority of Trump supporters and Make America Great Againers are conservatives.
Ruby, you lagging, Ruby.
Actually, Ruby, there were some Democrats in there too, also.
But I didn't. That's what I'm saying.
They got an eyewitness on because they were opening the doors. There was doors open, eyewitness accounts of certain people getting brought in, and they were disguising themselves as Trump supporters. So that did come out.
Well,
that information did come out.
I think, but that's the problem too, though, is that there were people who are Trump supporters who regularly registered and voted Democrat, but believed in and supported Trump. So this is why I don't think, as much as we could look at the majority of at least admitted Trump supporters as being conservative, I don't think this was a conservative versus Democrat issue. I think that people, use those issues to further, support their causes, but I don't think it was really about that at all. I think it was about Trump, right? Yeah. I don't think Trump was ever about anything other than Trump. To be honest with you, I don't think he gave a shit about politics. I don't think he gave a shit about conservative or democratic ideals. I think Trump gives a shit about what benefits Trump, the end. And most of his supporters failed to realize that.
And I agree, Ruby. But I'm gonna tell you like this, because look, you know what I'm saying. Like I said, I'm in the trucker business. I have my CDLs and everything. So through the pandemic, I worked through the whole pandemic. Right when Trump was still in office, Trump, he was a billionaire. He wanted to give the American people their money. Who stopped the American people from getting a second stimulus check for a whole year? That ratchet old hag Nancy Pelosi, Democrat, House of Secretary or House of whatever she is.
She's chair of the House.
Yeah, she had a house. Trump was like, yo, give these people their money. Like, because, you know what I mean? I was one of the fortunate ones, and I know a lot of people wasn't fortunate enough to work through the pandemic. I was, because I drove commercial trucks, to transport, goods and stuff. But Trump was every day saying he could have been doing it for a re-election. Who knows? But he was trying to get American people his money. He a billionaire. And here Nancy Pelosi she is a millionaire Democrat. No, she wanted to get the Democrats in office to give us another $600. You know what I mean? Okay, take the $600. You know what I mean? Y'all be good until Biden get in office. Oh, now they want to give us $1,400. Come on, Democrats been lying to black people for centuries. And the Republicans, I'm not taking up for the Republicans saying they any better. But last time I checked, Abraham Lincoln, who tried to free the slaves, was Republican. He wasn't Democrat.
A lot of your Republican Party in the beginning, if you look this up, a lot of them was started by black folks.
Yeah,
black folks switched off. They switched the Republican Party to Democrat in 1960 because Kennedy and Johnson promised civil rights and integration.
Yeah,
and inclusion in the welfare. That's what swayed the black vote over to the Democratic Party, because Johnson said, however he said it was 100 years or whatever, he said he had these niggas voting for us for the Democratic Party for the next 100 years.
Facts.
And that's a statement he actually made that was recorded.
Facts. I remember that statement. I think that statement was in the Monahan report.
And the thing about it is, they were right the way they did it, but then the same token, they destroyed the black family.
They destroyed us.
Because they wouldn't allow with the women getting welfare, because the welfare was inclusively for whites only, and it started around 1930 during the Dust Bowl time. That's who was getting it.
Facts.
But the people, if you don't study the history or don't know what's going on or don't listen to your elders when they tell you don't get this kind of stuff, you miss it. There's a lot they can tell you about, because we can get into the Black Wall Streets, in which was way more than one, and how our government got involved with Tulsa and a bunch of other ones, Rosewood and all that, and burnt and tore down places because they made it so they made it so hard for blacks that when blacks got together and started making their own communities and building their own banks, they couldn't even stand that. So they had to destroy that.
Exactly.
So when people say you had opportunities as black people, you had opportunities, all of that. Well, yes, we had opportunity until we got burnt out. And it was forced to have to go to corporations and all that because they were burning our businesses down, including the banks. Because whether people want to know it or not, blacks shared power in the Confederacy during the Civil War, before the Civil War, and after the Civil War, until Reconstruction came in, and that's where the whites got disenfranchised.
So
they came in and started burning down and killing and all of that, and that's how everything rose the way it was. You have whites all over the country. You had like 20 million people that were KKK. 20 million in the early 1920s. And when they started getting shown for all the dirty stuff, a lot of people, like politicians and further people in the North and some of the other areas, they started jumping out when it started getting down and dirty.
I think, Melody, you want to say something?
Yeah, I was going to say, guys, let me read this super chat. Thank you, Complex Easy, again with another super chat. We really appreciate that. I think it's a link, Ruby. Did you click on it yet? I know you like to click on the links.
No, I didn't click on that. I didn't even see it. I was busy looking up my own stuff. Let me click it on. Let me click on it now.
Ruby's trying to do some research.
Oh, it's the same. It's the same link that he had sent earlier, which was okay. You know what? I will find a way to, let me get this to myself, and I'll show y'all what it is. It basically, it's the thing that I told you guys earlier, where it was the knife attacks in schools in China. So I guess this one is now, what, 11 years later? Did it take you all this time to find one more? I hope not, because again, not saying that people who are trying to kill people will find a way to kill people. That's absolutely 100% true. But again, let's look at frequency and ease with which that you can kill one person, let alone dozens, hundreds, thousands of people. So this is what it was that he shared. So this is the second one. The first one was 12 years ago. This was shared June 4th, 2020. And it says at least 39 students and staff hurt in a knife attack at primary school in southern China. It says students and staff hurt, not killed. So I don't know how many died, or if it says this in this link, obviously. But again, official statement said 37 students suffered minor injuries, but two adults, including the principal and a security guard, were reportedly seriously injured.
Wait, so an adult came in and started stabbing the babies? Is that what it said?
I think that's what it says. The incident happened at the Wangfu Town Central Primary School. So this is a primary school in Wuzhou City.
Wow.
Authorities said the alleged attacker is another security guard who worked at the school. Bro, y'all need to vet better. The 50-year-old suspect has been detained by police. Yeah, that was a grown-ass man. He's 50. All of the wounded were treated at a hospital and health centers nearby.
So nobody died.
None of the children did, at least. I think
God.
only a couple adults were seriously injured. I don't know if any of them died, but at the time of this report, none of the children were seriously injured or had died.
These people are
Obvious question. There's an obvious question though. If knives and baseball bats and cars are just as deadly as guns, why don't we see more mass stabbings, more mass beatings, and more mass runovers? If it's just as easy to kill with these other weapons.
Because the gun will kill you faster. That's what it's easier to kill. Because you see with the last one that Ruby just read, nobody was killed. But with the guns, people will shoot you in the head or the heart and you're sure to die.
And they can do it faster, they can do it from farther away.
Right.
They don't have to get within close, they don't have to risk close combat.
Right.
If somebody comes at me with a knife and I have a chair or I have something long, I might be able to actually defeat them. Someone shooting at me with a gun from a distance, it's a lost cause. I gotta run, I gotta hide.
But you know what else is dangerous, Mr. Know-it-all? Those what do you call those? Machetes? Is it the swords? You know the swords?
You have different types of swords. You got broadswords. You got bushidos. You got man, I can't even think of naming all of them. There's different kind of swords and knives they have.
Yeah, but I remember my dad told a story. I think he was coming from work. He was walking. It was a nice day. And he said some guy, I think it was like a Mexican or whatever, was like, "What you looking at, old man?" and pulled out a machete. And he said he was so scared. And, I just felt bad, like, because you can actually kill somebody with that sword.
You can, but
you know what's interesting?
You can outrun somebody with a machete.
That's the thing, right? They gonna throw it at you. That is my uncle, literally over being a high child, that's really what I'm gonna call him, because he was 50 years old, decided to try to chop my grandfather up to death with a machete, for turning the power off in the house to turn off his blaring music. And the third time my grandfather did it, my uncle came out of his room like a bat out of hell with a machete, chopped up my grandfather. What he didn't do is die. If my uncle had come out of that room with a gun, though, I'm betting my grandfather would have died.
Wait, your
takes a lot more.
Your uncle was his son?
No. So my grandmother had 3 different children by 3 different men. She was a singer. She was very beautiful, very desired in Jamaica. The father of her last child, which is my youngest uncle, she married him. My grandfather came to Canada and then bought a house and worked and slowly sent for my grandmother and all of her kids, including my grandmother's eldest kid, who at that time was like 15, had a close relationship with his father already. He was light skinned, the whole rest of the family's dark skinned. And he very much resented my grandfather for saying, I'm the adult and the man of this house, and you're going to respect me or get out. But when my uncle ruined his own life by basically not listening to us when we said, you can't smoke weed and drive trucks. He owned a logistics company and didn't listen. And one day he got pulled over and got a DUI, which means he lost his company, lost his money, lost everything. He walked away from everything. He almost just lost his house to the bank and everything too, like all kinds of stuff. And at that time, my grandmother didn't care, who is his biological mother. But my grandfather, who had been treated like crap by him his whole life, took him in and literally nursed him back to health. Is the best way I can say it. Nursed him back to health. And then when my grandmother's boyfriend died, because my grandmother and my grandfather had been separated for a long time, my grandmother needed somewhere to stay. My grandfather took her back in, and my grandmother set upon my uncle to turn him against my grandfather, and it worked. And there we are. Now he's trying to chop off with a machete. Yeah.
That's a lot of drama. Did he go to jail for attempted murder?
Yeah. That's crazy.
No, not for attempted murder. He got like, it was his first crime, whatever, and he had to do jail for like several years, but it was basically work release. So he went to prison every day Friday, and then spent the whole weekend in prison, and then they let him out on Monday to go to work, Monday to Friday.
That is nuts.
They would not do that here.
I don't see how they would have done it here.
No,
not in America.
Craziness. But yeah, my point simply is that, I mean, it's not that, again, my uncle was very determined to hurt my grandfather. So he would have done it even if he didn't have the machete. Then he would have dug up a bat or a spoon. It don't matter. If you want to hurt someone, you're going to hurt someone. But the amount of strength it takes, which people don't realize, to chop into the human body to the point where you can, have them bleeding, or the amount of knowledge where you have to know where the arteries are and like it's far more difficult to do it once, let alone to do it multiple times in a row to take out multiple people. And that would actually involve all of those people just waiting in line until you were done killing the first one to kill the second one, right? Most of those other people are just going to run. So while you're killing number one, all those people are already down the block, around the corner, they're calling 911, right? Like it's just, it's not so fast, right? Like pulling a trigger is an instant. It's an instant. And then you got 9 bullets in just a regular handgun, right? So it's 9. That's 9 possible, maybe even more than that bullet goes through people, right? 9 possible people you can kill in 10 seconds?
I've actually stopped my brother from killing his then time wife, and he had a meat cleaver. And we all were buff weightlifters because we used to power lift. And he came down with so much strength, I had to give it all because there was so much rage in him to kill this woman. I had to stop him. And I mean, I had to stand between him, her, and the blade. As he came down with the blade, I had to stand in front of the blade with I'm holding his arms, and he's trying to bring him down, and she's laying down on the bed. And the moms was trying to hold him around the waist, but she was flipped off, so that wasn't going to work. So I had to be the one there to save her. Because if I hadn't been there, he would have killed her.
Oh my
God. He admits this to this day. But some of the rage and some of your crimes are when somebody don't have a gun, they'll pick a knife up and they'll go at it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but that only
I've witnessed more than my share of I've witnessed more than my share of killings and all kind of stuff. I mean, being right there when it happens or stepping right up when it happened.
Yeah,
I done had enough of them, and it got to the point where I got numb in some incidents, and there was some instances I got really upset. In one incident, I was trying to go after the person that did the shooting.
Yeah.
And it's this ain't no joke out here.
Yeah.
Because when you talk about the murders, hell, you talking about these, and they looking. The media is gonna push this shootings at these schools and at the malls and all of that. That does not add up to what goes on out here every day.
Facts.
It doesn't. You got more shootings up in the neighborhoods, but they ain't talking about that. They're not talking about that. They'll talk about this because there's whites involved.
Yeah.
When there's blacks, they ain't saying shit about this. But you can look up the blogs on the murders and the homicides.
Yeah.
And the manslaughter. The numbers are high. It's extremely high, especially with this cancel culture they have with the police. So they're actually letting shit happen. Hell, you could here in California, especially LA, you could go in, and if it's not $5,000 of stuff that you could steal, the police ain't gonna come. They had it at $950. Now they talking about $5,000.
Yeah.
So people just go in the stores and steal. And it really ran down San Francisco.
Yeah, the Bay Area.
This is another thing that's going on, and people are not. They worried about all this other stuff, but look at what's happening in your own backyard. This is going to do this canceling culture thing is more than just canceling. It's really taking a whole class out. This is like it's aimed at taking the middle class out. If it wasn't for the fact that I'm in business the way I'm in with the family business and all of that and what we have going, I don't know what I would be doing right now. To be honest, I can't say. Because there's people telling me they're applying for jobs. And they say there's jobs out here, but they're not giving nobody no jobs. But yet and still, you got the economy dropping and the people getting laid off.
That was bad.
Well, guys, listen, we're gonna have final thoughts. I want to start with Mr. Know-It-All, then Chow Hound, and then we'll go around like that. So, Mr. Know-It-All, what are your final thoughts?
I would just say, yeah, guns ain't going anywhere in America. It's just too much opposition from the people themselves. I mean, it's not even the government that's saying it. It's the people, the citizens that don't want to get rid of them. And if that's what's going on, there's no hope. I don't know what it would take, honestly. I mean, someone would have to invent a much superior gun to the guns that currently exist, where you can kill 100 people, in seconds, before anybody would talk about regulating guns. I shouldn't say talk about it, but before it would be implemented on a nationwide scale.
Right. Well, thank you for that final thought. I appreciate you.
Thank you.
We appreciate you. Right. Now we're gonna have
Know-It-All.
That voice.
I did.
We love that voice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's my OG.
Women are sucking for a little bass. Let's be real.
Does it sound,
That's my OG, yeah.
does it sound like I'm using a voice changer? Some people,
You do.
A little bit. Yeah, that's why I'm like, yo, who are you? Are you sure?
No,
you have a
that's
brother? You just switch out something?
Right.
that's how masculine black men talk.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
But let's go with Chow Hound. What are your final thoughts? Thank you, Mr. Know-It-All. Thanks for coming.
Thank
we
you so
appreciate
much.
you. Okay, Chow Hound, go ahead.
Peace.
All right. No matter what anybody thinks, even if they think that we're 3/5 of the man or whatever, we still got the Constitution. What parts of it we can use. And the thing is, the Second Amendment is there. And the point is it would be a big mistake if we gave up our guns. A big mistake. Because how are you going to protect yourself? How are you going to protect yourself from somebody invading your home? Because there's some people that's going to kill you anyway. They got them out here. They're doing it. They'll go in and it's, if they get pissed off, if you don't have anything, you got no money, they'll shoot you anyway. But the thing is if you have a foreign entity that comes in, how are you going to protect yourself then? Because the military is not set up to fight for us on our own soil. It's set up for the National Guard to be activated, but that's another situation. People don't understand. We could be very well wide open for some situations to happen. And that's because of federal laws. And the thing is, I'm a very staunch gun supporter, because if it wasn't for me carrying, there's some lives out there that I wouldn't have been able to save or keep protected. And that's what, because of me being in action like that, that's why I am an avid supporter, especially of the Second Amendment. And as far as gun laws are concerned, I don't think you can get any stricter in California. I'm telling you.
New Jersey.
And still things are going the way they're going. So it wouldn't make any difference. I'd say be responsible. Keep the guns. If I've seen videos where they have trained kids, and I ain't gonna lie, my dad put a gun in my hand as a youngster, and my sister and my brothers and stuff. And they trained us how to shoot the gun and trained us about safety. If you train a child in the ways and really teach them to be responsible and emotionally level, mentally and emotionally level, you got kids out here that's hunting with their parents, like with their fathers. And they're being taught how to handle guns. There's people that I know, they taught their children. And they're very, very intelligent, very respectful. Not to say that any of these shooters wasn't respectful. They probably was very respectful in their own right in times, but whatever happened, whatever influences put them in the position where they started shooting. But still, though, in teaching children, it has to be responsibility there. Because as some kids acted out, they figured that they were playing video games, and just like you get a life to get back, there was kids talking about, well, I shot him and I thought he was supposed to get back up again because they're playing video games. That's not how to train. That's not how to train a child.
All right.
But that's about what I have to say. And I thank you all for allowing me on the panel.
And we thank you as well. You always have great things to say. Thank you so much, Chow Hum.
We needed this perspective in this conversation, right? To make sure we weren't in like echo chamber. We needed this part of the conversation represented. So thank you very much for coming up and representing it, right?
Definitely. Thank you everybody on the panel. Thank you.
You're very much welcome.
Thank you. I can't stop saying it. I really appreciate our supporters.
Yeah, you guys are great.
Aren't they? Siren, what are your final thoughts?
Yep. Yeah, just shout out to the chat. Melody, Ruby, Mr. Dora, all you guys, y'all were great, yo. And I love this. And you know, I'm not gonna come like a historian or anything like that, because that was my best subject in high school. You know, I didn't graduate college. I graduated high school, but I graduated I didn't graduate college, but I graduated high school, and history was always my thing. But back when I graduated in '97, they wasn't teaching us this type of stuff to us black kids. You know, we was out shooting with the Bloods, and they was out with the Bloods and Crips. I was this little nerd dude, you know what I mean? But I just knew a lot of hood dudes that be like, I do their homework for them, and these guys will protect me. But now that I'm older, it's like, yo, to these guys, they are begging me for change. But let me get back to this. Listen, we need guns. Okay, we don't need guns in the hands of irrational people. We need guns in the hands of people with a mind perspective that knows what's going on. Because especially as black men, we already know so many guns in the hands of single mother raised boys that's emotionally strong, and they out there shooting up the community. I'm from New Jersey. You already know how they get down up there, Melody.
I already know.
And listen, and now I live in PA, and I'm like an hour away from Philly, and them guys are even worse. You know what I'm saying? So no, don't get rid of the guns. Let's just focus on who we putting the guns in the hands of. Because if we putting the guns in, look, PA, all you need is an ID. An ID. They don't even background check you. They don't even background check you on the guns, and you could buy it. I'm like, yo, I went in the gun store being PA. I'm like, yo, I was just curious, and I went in. I'm like, Dad, but I'm like, all right, let me go in. And he was like, hey, dude, two white boys. Hey, dude. I'm like, yeah, how much is that? Like, he was like, yeah, no background check. This is a valid ID. And I'm like, and I can cop that. I walked out like, yo, where's one in PA? The gun laws in PA, you can cop guns, but in New Jersey, you can't do that. You know what I'm saying? So what I'm gonna say in closing, us black people, our black women, y'all gotta stick by us. We not gonna win this war without y'all. All right, because these white supremacists and all these radicals and left wing, right wing, we're not gonna win this war with a gender war. Let's cut the gender war out. Let's recollect our minds and get back to where, you know what I'm saying, us black men and women can communicate. Sorry for stumbling over my words. You know what I'm saying? Because back in 19 Malcolm got killed in 19. Yeah, when Malcolm had he had that big assault rifle by any means necessary. Y'all probably don't remember that. Look that up. He had a big assault rifle when all those Ku Klux Klan and crackers was trying to invade his house. Malcolm was standing by the window. Y'all remember that picture? It's historical. It's historical. So you can't say we don't need assault rifles in our homes. You know what I'm saying? Because black people needed it too back in 1964 and 63 before he got assassinated. So we gotta come together as black people. Now, I'm not preaching that black power crap, but no, our men and women, we gotta come together. You know what I'm saying? Because we could be separate all we want. We could be separate all we want and say, oh, no guns and yeah, and a bat. No, come on, what bat? What a bat? You want to go back to 1760 where they were using spears? No. These guys are coming with guns. White supremacists are coming with guns, and they don't like us. So if black women and black men cannot get together, our race is done. That's all I got to say. And I love y'all guys.
We love you too. Thank you, Tyron. Thank
Yes,
you.
thank you very much.
Appreciate everybody.
Feel your
And-
passion on this one.
Right. He's very
Yeah.
passionate. I love it.
We had some really great panelists today.
We really did.
Yeah, really, man. Like, it's another guy coming on, but really, yo, if black men and black women cannot come together, we're gonna lose this war. We gotta get back together. This gender war gotta stop, yo. We gotta get back together, and if not, then yeah, it's Becky Brad, and yeah, we had slave fun with them. No, we gotta get back to where we were. So next person on. I'm sorry, y'all.
It's okay. Well, we appreciate you.
No
Thanks
problem.
for coming.
Yeah.
And let's get Blue.
Yeah, y'all have a good night.
Yes. Have a good night, Tyron. Oh, good. Baloo's here, Mr. News.
Mr. Blue.
How you summarize all of this craziness today?
2020. What's good?
Hey.
I'm just, I was just doing a lot of listening. You know what I mean? Not too much talking. You listen, it's therapeutic. So having these shows and talking about the things that y'all come up with is therapeutic to the people. And I think it helps people that don't know things. We all share information. We all help each other listen to what each other's saying. That's why it's very important for people not to be talking over each other, because you can't get the message if somebody's talking. So my final thought is conspiracy. That's part of my final thought, conspiracy. I'm gonna keep it short. Like I said, coming on here is just therapeutic. A lot of people in the chat, they listening, your audience is listening, and I believe it really does help them. And some people rather be here than maybe be wasting time even listening to music, because it's not doing nothing for you mentally, depending on what music you listen to. You know what I'm saying? is not doing nothing for you mentally. So I think people come on here to your chat mentally to help guide them to understand some of the things that we don't understand. Because we're talking about things that we don't understand. And you look at the sequence of things, we all, like he said before, we all in a certain age bracket. So there have been things happening before us, before we was even born. So it's hard for us to try to figure out a lot of things and put the pieces together because we wasn't here throughout those generations. So we just all here trying to figure it out. Everybody putting their information. And like I said again, it's therapeutic. So I appreciate the show. And if y'all feel like it's therapeutic to y'all, put the ones up in the chat. Cause I know I feel that way. And
Yeah,
like, share,
everybody
and
put a one
subscribe.
in the chat. I like that. If you
Yeah.
feel like Ruby and I are therapeutic, put a one in the chat before we
I
go.
like Melody's rephrasing of that. If you feel like Melody and I.
In blue, you know. We all
Also,
are. But thank you
also,
everybody for coming. Oh, Ruby, you got a final thought?
Of course I have a final thought. Have you met me?
Right. Let me mute up. Go ahead.
Okay. So a couple things, and I think people maybe, especially with Americans, I find that in general, anytime you make any type of suggestion um, involving encouraging and being in support of gun reform, Americans hear you're trying to ban all our guns. It's like it's a collective American thing. But I never said that. In fact, I literally said at the beginning, and some of y'all have said that as well throughout the chat, that like it's too late, right? Like Canada enacted a lot of these laws before, way before it was too late, right? And that's why we can have the laws that we have here. But in America, it is just too late. And while they do try to enact some programs to try to get some dirty guns off the streets, try to clean them up, for all the dirty guns that you get off the street, 5 more are coming in, being shipped in from somewhere else, right? So, you can't put the cat in the bag, back in the bag. It's just not going to happen. But this is why, when I look at it, I say, okay, well, how many people have the ability to not only use something like an AR or an AK or something, but to use it under pressure, under fear, with precision, even though it's not a precision weapon, to defend their home or their family or whatever, and to just use this automatic weapon and pull the trigger, only let a bullet or two come out. It's only going to hit your intended target and nobody else. That's not reasonable, right? It's just not. I mean, weapons of war should be for war. And this is why for me, right, because it's a foreign concept to live somewhere where it's like open carry laws and stuff, right? But there's a difference between a handgun, and that's something, whether it's a smaller one or a bigger one. There's a difference between a handgun, something you can actually train to use in a precision type way to get good aim, maybe take some classes so you also have better skills in as far as where do you place the handguns in your house, and how do you access them really quickly, and so on and so forth, maybe in combination with security systems and whatnot, right? I mean, I do think that there is a way to do gun ownership and self-protection in a more intelligent way. The problem is that when people say, well, yeah, law-abiding citizens shouldn't be punished for the kooks. Guess what? Most of the kooks start off as law-abiding citizens and then lose their mind somewhere. Do you think that that case in China, do you think that they intentionally hired a murderous security guard to watch over their children? No, of course they didn't, right? That's clearly not what they did on purpose. But lots of things happen, mental disease, psychological breaks and breakdowns happen and whatever. And so there's got to be more to it than just, well, it's an amendment and it is what it is, right? Just like their free speech. Y'all have a right to free speech. Absolutely, right? It's your constitutional right. But then you put limitations on it, right? So it's not okay for you to falsely yell fire in a crowded movie theater. It's not okay for you to do that falsely, right? Even though you have a right to free speech. It's not okay for you to encourage a group of people in front of you to turn around and murder everyone around them. Right? It's just not okay, even though you have a right to free speech. And so I think that gun ownership needs to be looked at in the same way. I do think that making some reform, especially with access to automatic guns, especially in reaction to having access and the ability to have on hand these automatic assault rifles of war, right? Like if you were to say, oh, I have a bunker up north and it's buried and da da da, so in case there's ever some type of insurgents, I can access. Okay, I mean, fine. If you think that any country on the planet is ever coming against America, y'all don't understand where those billions and trillions of defense dollars are going to. America goes and makes sure that, trust me, no one's ever coming on American soil to attack Americans like an army. That's never going to happen ever. Ever, 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 ever. Even my country won't, because we have a peace agreement with America that we've had since the Avro era. So I think we need to recognize, like, at what point, because now, and I posted it in the chat earlier, now guys, deaths by gun outweigh deaths by car. Okay, that's as of 2020. It's the first time it's ever happened. But now deaths by gun outweigh deaths by car. Okay, and so we need to realize that when it's affecting our children, teenagers, young adults, innocent mothers and children, when it's a lot of innocent bystanders getting hurt, when it's super easy to just spray a room in 5 seconds and kill dozens and dozens of people who weren't your target at all, who you didn't even care about. You were just mindlessly shooting just to make sure you got one person. Like, we have to realize there is a problem, and we do need some type of change, because I'm tired of hearing about kids getting gunned down at school when they're just trying to learn simple addition and subtraction. You know what I mean? They haven't even learned how to spell their names in cursive, and they're gone because some kid with a gun could just stroll in there and just take them out in seconds. It's terrible. Come on. Something's got to be done.
I agree with that, Ruby. That was great. That was a great final thought.
Thank you.
My final thought, well, first of all, we have a super chat from Mr. Know-It-All. Wait, real quick before we get into the super chat, guys, when you see that weird thing that's in my chat right now, get it out of here. Block it.
Yes.
Mods, please. Our chat, I'm sorry. Block it. We don't want that in here. Instantly.
Yeah.
Don't think about it. All right, but thank you so much, Mr. Know-It-All, for the super chat.
Thank you.
Thank you. He says, tell us, ladies, how do y'all split the super chats? We split them right down the middle every Tuesday. Any super chats we get on Tuesdays, we split them down the middle. But thank you so much for that. We really appreciate you. Thanks for coming up.
Absolutely. And again, that voice though. Like I'm honestly like, dude, you know what though, Mr. Ruby, that's happened a couple times where he's woken up and I don't know what it is because it'll go away throughout the day, but like he'll first wake up and his voice will be like 10 times deeper than it normally is. So it's shocking because you're like, who the hell's talking? And I have to look and see his lips move to know it's him. And I'm like,
hey baby, yeah.
I'm like, how's this happening? He's like, and I'm like, how are you doing this? And then it just goes away and he goes back to normal. Like the same day, like he's not sick or whatever. I don't know what it is, but I feel like it's something that happens to Black men sometimes. They just wake up and their voices are just extra bassy that day. It's the Black man thing. I don't know.
It's a Black man thing. That's why we love Black men. But my final thought is my condolences to the families of these poor innocent children who got shot up today. My condolences to the poor innocent people who got shot up at the supermarket last week. And my condolences to everybody who lost their lives to gun violence. I really have no words. I'm speechless. Like, it's all a tragedy. I don't think we should ban guns completely because a lot of the guys had great points that came up today. We do need guns to protect ourselves. I mean, and it's not the gun that's killing the people. it's the person behind or in front of the gun that's killing a person. So I just think that people should actually get do a test to see if they're sane enough to get a gun, to get a gun license. I don't think that a person should just be able to walk into a Walmart or a Target or any store like that and buy a gun. They should have like some kind of certification saying that they're sane and they're old enough to get this gun, and they should have to be a homeowner. Um, Maybe they shouldn't be able to carry it around, but to have it in their home for protection, absolutely. Just in case somebody want to come and rob them, absolutely, for self-defense. But I don't think you should be able to carry it around with you. The only people that I think should be able to carry it is law enforcement or like security who's licensed to carry guns. Other than that, no, you should not be able to carry it outside of your home. But that is my opinion on the guns. Also, thank you everybody for coming. Ruby and I were just talking about it today, how much we really, really appreciate our supporters.
Yes.
You guys are our day ones. We love y'all. Y'all always supporting us with the super chats. You're supporting us with the likes. You guys share our streams. Like, we really, really appreciate you. And we're gonna have another celebration once I hit 2K, which is coming up. That's coming up real. Yeah, it's coming up real soon, Ruby. So we can have a Tuesday celebration for that, and we can actually give back to you guys, because you guys, I'm telling you, you guys have been there for us.
Yeah,
So
we have to do another giveaway. It's been
yeah,
a minute since we did the first one.
exactly. So we can give away some gift cards. We can give away some cash apps, because you guys don't understand how much me and Ruby really appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for coming. And also Baloo too, because he's my other co-host. We do our show on, what days we do it, Baloo? We do it Wednesdays or Thursdays. I told you to pick a day.
Wednesday.
It's up to you. Okay, so we'll do our show every Wednesday. We'll be giving you guys the news. It's called Blue TV 2022 News, and Ruby and I do Tuesdays. Also, Ruby and I have a great interview coming up next week with Sister George. As you guys know, she's been in a lot of drama. So we're going to pretty much talk about the drama, and we're going to get down to the bottom of everything.
And we have one this week. Don't forget Mocha on Thursday. We have Lady Mocha rolling up in here on Thursday too.
Yes, I forgot about that. We also have Lady Mocha. So make sure you guys check us out with that. And also Saturday, I'll be doing my live by myself. I can't even think of the name of my live. I'm tripping right now.
After Dark Debates.
Thank you. After Dark Debates. I'll be doing that on Saturday night at 9:00. So we have a full schedule, you guys, but make sure you guys do
even more than
attend.
that though. Don't forget. I still do other stuff, okay? I do.
Oh,
With
okay.
Shar. Thank you.
Yes, that's right. Make sure you guys go ahead.
Yeah.
Do your thing, girl.
Now, for those of y'all who like internet radio, me and Shar do have. I don't like this whole Wednesday. Y'all doing the Wednesday thing, but our radio show's on Wednesday too. But we just do it. We have like a season. It's not gonna be like forever, but it's Keep the Beat, CRBJ Internet Radio. Y'all can check my community tab if you want the link to the listen party, if you don't actually listen to the internet radio like on some other type of app. And then Friday nights we have our open panel discussion on Just Ask Shar, me and Shar. And then on Saturdays before Melody stream, right, so you can catch both, right, we have our news show at 7:30 p.m. So whatever news, if Baloo them and Melody missed some news on Wednesday, probably catch it on me and Shar on Saturday at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard, and then normally Melody starts like right after we finish. So with the After Dark Debates on her channel. So guys, like trust me, if you love me and Melody, you can listen to us almost the entire week. Like we're missing like a day and a half. That's it.
That's it. And I know you guys love us because you're always here supporting us. So I know you guys love us. But if you really, 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 really love us, make sure you hit the like button on the way out, and make sure you share it to every platform. We love you guys.
Mhm.
See you guys. When the next time? Thursday.
Tomorrow?
Tomorrow. See you guys. No, is it
You
tomorrow?
aren't y'all doing your show? You and Baloo are doing your show tomorrow,
Oh,
and then
I'm
we're
sorry.
doing the interview on Thursday. And see, we have so many things this week, we can't even keep track.
So, oh my God, we're so busy. Yes. Well, I guess I'll see you guys tomorrow. Blue, what time we're gonna do our stream tomorrow? Blue?
That's a to be announced, y'all.
I guess. Well, I'll see you guys tomorrow at 9 o'clock. That's a good time.
There you go.
Okay, so see you guys tomorrow at 9 o'clock. We love you guys.
Yep,
Bye.
9 o'clock is good.
9 o'clock is good? Okay, so we'll do Wednesdays, every Wednesday at 9. See, this is all new, guys. That's why we're kind of all over the place. But we'll do every Wednesday at 9. So see you guys then. Bye.
Cheers, y'all.